What's up, everybody? Lou is going to be joining the show in a little bit, actually. Let me finish that up. Lou's going to be jumping in like 10 minutes or so. So I'm going to try and get one topic in before he jumps in. Let's see, what do we have here? Oh, Topps patches. So let me pull up this link. Do I already have it up? I do already have it up. Perfect. Okay, so here we go. Like I said, Lou is going to be joining, like he said, 10 minutes. So we'll try and jump into this topic. Just to kick off the show, basically. Let's timer. Let's stopwatch. Let's just edit this to make the screen a little bit larger. All right. What's up, everybody? Thank you for clicking on this video. My name is Adam from Heroes for Sale. Today, we're going to be talking about the opening day patches that Topps just announced they're going to be including on players making their MLB debuts. I'm interested to hear your thoughts about this topic. Make sure you leave a comment, like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you are new. Oops, nope, we want to go this other way here. All right, so Topps opening day, exciting, super exciting opening day. Everybody thinks it's just opening day. That's the only thing that is going to be the exciting part of today. And then in the morning, Topps comes out with the huge announcement that players are going to have MLB debut patches on their jerseys if they're making their major league debut. That raises a little bit of questions here. I'm interested to see what product this patch is going to come in. I'm interested to see if Fanatics is going to come out with some sort of new scale when it comes to if a player is going to get a rookie card or not. How are they going to sell these cards? Or how are they going to put these cards onto the patches? Are they going to be selling them? Are they going to be putting them in boxes? I mean, there's tons of, I think, speculation on what Topps is going to be doing here, to be completely honest. And I'm excited. I mean, obviously, I feel like I'm definitely somebody who is excited about anything new in the hobby. Obviously, I mean, I do, we got this show that we're doing. So like anytime that there's new news and stuff along those lines, I'm excited for it. So like for this, we had Anthony Volpe, we had Jordan Walker, we had the Red Sox player from Japan. I know I think there was 10 rookies on opening day that got this opening day patch. And I think at the Mint Collective, Topps was asked the question, what product is going to come out with? I don't think that they have announced the exact product. I guess I would like to see Topps come out with maybe like a National Treasures style product for these boxes, or for the cards that are going to contain these patches. Like I said, I think there's like Transcendent is one of kind of the higher end products, but I don't think Topps has brand recognition when it comes to some of their higher end products. That might just, be my own bias, I guess you could call it. But like when I look at it, I can name 4 or 5 different Panini high-end products, National Treasures, Flawless, Impeccable, Immaculate. I mean, that's just a name, like that's just a couple I can name off the top of my head. I mean, I know that there are a bunch of others, but like I don't feel like Topps has that brand recognition for any of their high-end brands. I don't know if this would come in like I don't think it would be a good card to put in like a flagship set because I feel like it's a weird mix between like if you're putting in a flagship set, you're putting like a one of one card that I think for some players could potentially be like we could be looking at this card as like the Bowman Chrome Superfractor autograph for if they put an autograph on this card, obviously. But like this card has the potential to be like the big chase card for every rookie. And I guess it also kind of brings up the conversation is like, how are they going to decide what players get rookie cards within the year? Because if you have this patch, like it's almost like the rookie cup in a way, where some players, like I think Adley Rushman's card has the rookie cup on it and a rookie card, but he was a rookie last year. So like, does a player who makes his debut in September, is he going to be then included in Topps update? I guess I don't think so, because like they probably wouldn't know that he's going to be in the product, so they can't really anticipate that. They can't anticipate a player making their debut in September unless they move back Topps update. But at the same time, it's like within sports cards, I think that it takes 6 to 8 months to really put a sports card product together. So I guess I don't know for sure what product these cards are going to come into. And then the mic has been on my AirPods the whole time. Okay, well, that's fine. We'll fix that in post, I suppose. Either way, whatever. It's all right. Let me just make sure it's fixed now. I should have checked before. It's okay. Oh, well. But if because in the past, Topps they've used a cutoff date for when players get included in the product, or when they get their rookie card, like when they get the RC logo on their cards versus like if they just get included in the next year. So I guess it'll be kind of interesting to see sort of if Fanatics makes a change to this concept or if Fanatics continues what Topps has been doing. And, I think that May cutoff date for the most part is primarily because of the way that because if a player is making their debut, they have to have a certain amount of runway to produce the product, obviously. So, if a player is making their debut in July or August and they get this patch, like, does that then mean they're going to, I guess that in theory, those players then will be in the next year, but like, is that card then going to be like, are they going to include the card with the patch in this year's product, or is the card, because it's sort of like I said, the patch card affects, I think, a lot of other things within the hobby, not just what product the card is going to come in. I think affects which players get rookie cards during the year. Because like if they come out with a new high-end product that's released in October or November with all these rookie patches, are all the players that have the rookie patches then also going to have the RC logo? And it kind of is like a catch-22 there, because like, I don't know. I would imagine they've thought about this. I can't imagine that this is, if I'm thinking about it, they're business people, so I would hope that they would also have thought about it. But like, I look at the the concept of the rookie card within the patch within a card. And if it's a rookie patch, are they going to then save it for the next year, or are they going to, are they going to change the way that they do baseball rookie cards? I think those are kind of two of the main conversation starters when it comes to these patches. Like, is Transcendent going to be the product? Like, is it going to be, I don't know, because I think they made, and if you look at the patch on the jerseys themselves, they definitely made them small enough that they can fit on one card, because I think it would be a real shame if they decided that they're going to do it on multiple different cards. I can't imagine that they would do that, because I think that would be a little bit ridiculous, in my opinion, if they were to like cut it and then do like two different, like a 1 of 2 and a 2 of 2. I hope that they don't do that. I hope that I didn't just give them that idea, but either way, I think it'll probably be a patch within one card. At least I hope it is. But what's going to happen with when is the card going to be featured in a product, and is the player going to be, is the player required to have the rookie logo for that card to be included in that year's product? Those are kind of some of the questions that I don't know. Maybe someone's listening to this at Mint Collective and they have the opportunity to talk to somebody at Topps or Fanatics. I think that those would probably be the questions that I would ask, whether they're going to change what Topps has been doing, or if they're going to change release dates or all of these things. I think adding this patch in there definitely makes things, I don't know, I wouldn't say it more confusing, more complex, but I think it adds another layer, in my opinion, to what they could do with these cards and with these patches. And if they make a new patch. And I think the other thing too is I hope that they expand on this concept, like commemorative patches within. I know that they do that, and some of those commemorative patches have been included in cards, but I do hope that they, maybe like a Miguel Cabrera last game card, or like a Miguel, or I don't know, I guess they wouldn't really be able to do it in real time. It would have to be something like that, where it's like, or like all-star game patches or certain game day patches. Like, I hope that they maybe start to use those concepts a little bit more. Cause like, I feel like with, what's it called? I feel like with MLB, they definitely do a much better job than Panini at using patches like this and actually authenticating within cards, like the actual patches that are being used. Where Panini they go to, Dick's Sporting Goods and they buy all the jerseys off the rack, and they make all of their National Treasures cards with jerseys from Dick's Sporting Goods. So it's like, I feel like MLB, and I think with Fanatics too, like, I think that it makes sense that Fanatics is doing this with patches on jerseys, because Fanatics overall has been much more of a jersey focused and jersey kind of memorabilia company. So, I think it gives them a good opportunity to expand upon this, get more jerseys, get more commemoration of these jerseys with them. And like I said, I'll be excited to see what Fanatics does down the road, if they, decide to expand upon this, if this is just going to be like a one-off thing. But it's a cool innovation. Was it the, what's it called? Was it the generational announcement that they were hyping up for a couple months? I don't necessarily think so. But like I said, I think it's a cool idea, and I'm excited to see what Fanatics does in the future with patches like this. Cool. So we got Kamikaze coming in. It's a conundrum for sure. Makes me wonder if they'll do retirement patches. I would imagine, yes, retirement patches are probably, they've got to be the next one. We got Daniel. I feel like Daniel, that's a first-time chatter for Daniel. Everyone should say shout out to Daniel. They should add the NBA championship tags. I think that would be a phenomenal idea. I mean, like I said, there's just so much they can do with jerseys. I'm just so done with manufactured patches. Yeah, it's a money saver, but it's like, is it even worth, is the money that they're saving on not just using authentic stuff, is that better, I guess, is maybe the conversation. Is that better than just paying the money and getting the cards? I don't know. And then Patches O'Houlihan, I mean, classic dodgeball reference, one of my favorite movies, to be completely honest. I love Dodgeball. Big fan of Dodgeball. That's a great movie. Lou should be joining in a couple minutes here. We got that first topic out of the way, so that's good. So that's one YouTube video down on the stream. You'll always love to see that. If we weren't using the mic, which that was unfortunate once I realized, but either way, it's all right. Let's see. Oh, I got a bunch of cool topics. I'm actually excited for this stuff. Let me, you know what? Actually, maybe we'll just try and get into another topic just while we're waiting here that I think will be kind of quick. We will go to the mystical man. I don't know if that's a nickname that they call him, but Hasbulla is getting a Prism card. Lou, better answer my question. Liam, was your question? You reached out. You commented on Twitter, right? I mean, that was. What was your question? Make sure either tweet it at me or drop it in the comments. I'll make sure to add it. I don't think Lou is in Vegas. I think he was out somewhere, and he did message me saying that he was back. So he'll be joining. I'm guessing he's probably getting set up now. I hope so, at least. Lou. Liam, drop your comment or drop your question. I'll try and add it in there. I mean, I have like a bunch of stuff to ask Lou. And I actually have a funny. Let me make sure I have it in here. Where is it? Overlay. Let me make sure I add it. I didn't add it yet, but we'll make sure it's in here for now. Maybe we'll bring Lou in on this. All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the video. My name is Adam. I am your host. Thank you all for clicking on this video. Today, we are going to be talking about the Hasbulla card that's going to be in this upcoming UFC Panini Prism product. I'm interested to hear your thoughts, so make sure you leave it in the comments of this video. Like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you are new. Let's get right into it. So this past week, Panini announced that Hasbulla is going to be included in this year's Panini Prism product. He did have a 2020 rookie, so I thought that was kind of interesting that Panini they had a Panini instant card that was a Hasbulla that they didn't. That I understand doing a rookie card, but I don't know. Maybe it's because it's a 2020 2023 Prism product. Maybe that's how they're branding it, I guess. If that's the case, because I mean, if we're just throwing rookie cards willy-nilly, I think that's a little bit ridiculous in my opinion. And I hope that that's not what Panini's doing, even though it, I don't know. At this point, Panini, I think, is just kind of running rampant and doing whatever they want. They're not really necessarily following any rules that have been set by anybody, because they're just like, whatever, we're losing it, but we're losing all of our key licenses. And UFC, WWE are going to be two of their main licenses once they lose basketball and football. And I do sort of hope that if, because celebrities make their appearances in WWE, so I'm hoping that maybe I'm hoping that there's a licensing sort of thing that they can do with WWE, where they get celebrities and the WWE either Prism or one second. As you know, I'm recording in the office building of my apartment, so sometimes people come through on tours, so I just have to pause it. So just one sec.
All right, we're back here. I'm going to try and go back to the point. I hope that WWE, when they bring in some of these celebrities, that they can somehow sign a licensing agreement with the celebrities, that they will be included in these products. I think it could bring like a whole new sort of element to what Panini has the potential to offer within these. I don't think UFC necessarily they would be able to do it, but I think within WWE they probably would have a good shot at being able to, because there's obviously signing deals with the people that are coming in and doing their appearances. So I would guess that they probably have some sort of licensing thing that they could do. I don't know if it would be autographs or if it's Prism rookie cards or what it is like that they would choose to do. But I mean, Hasbulla is, an internet celebrity. So like, I think, a lot of I think I actually saw an interesting conversation on Twitter this past week too, of how many people in sports cards were also on social media. So that was kind of interesting because I think someone said it was around 8%. I didn't get where they were pulling the data from, to be completely honest. I wasn't 100% sure how they pulled that information, but like, if that's the case, I mean, 8% obviously isn't that much, which, I guess if you go to like a card show, I don't know how they could pull this data. I think maybe it would have to be some sort of survey. So like Hasbulla, that might even be somebody that's people don't even know who that is. Like, cause if they're not on the internet, then they probably don't. If you're on the internet, there's probably a decent chance you know who Hasbulla is. But other celebrities, I mean, I would expect there probably will be a Logan Paul Prism card relatively soon. I mean, I think Panini did come out with like a Logan Paul Panini instant card. We got WrestleMania coming up this weekend, which is pretty exciting. Depending on when you're watching this video, it may have already happened. So all of the matches may have already been done. But like, I just think that the opportunity that Panini has to bring in an audience of people who are interested in WWE and the celebrities that make their appearances in WWE, I guess maybe they could do something similar with like the UFC if they wanted to, if they did like, some sort of like crowd insert set. I don't think they would necessarily be able to just pull people from like celebrities from the crowds and just say that this is a rookie card or this is a Prism card for them. It would probably have to be some sort of insert set. I can't imagine they would be able to just put them on like a base checklist. But like I said, Panini hasn't been really playing by the rules. So who knows? Like maybe they do just go out and they just, if Tom Brady is at a UFC event, maybe they just pull Tom Brady and say he's on the checklist. He was in the crowd and now he has a Prism UFC card. I don't know if they would do that. But I think within WWE, I definitely think that they have the opportunity when celebrities and famous people make their appearances, that if they sign a licensing deal with them, that they could make cards of them like Prism cards or Panini Instant cards. And it is maybe a similar opportunity that Topps has to try and grow the audience. But at the same time, like, it may be something that they need to experiment with. I think that this Hasbulla card will probably be a little bit of an experiment to see sort of what they decide is like, how big of a celebrity or how big of a person on the internet do you really have to be included? No pun intended here, obviously. How famous do you have to be included in, a Prism set? I kind of hope that they're not trying to water down the Prism product, which I feel like the concept that I just brought up may be a little bit counterintuitive. Like, if people think that the Prism product is so prestigious, is bringing in celebrities and trying to get maybe clickbait sort of cards in there, is that going to put a bad look for people that want to buy Prism, whether it's, Panini, whether it's UFC or WWE? I kind of wouldn't be surprised if they try and get more pop culture elements into some of these products. Like, this is a pop culture element for sure. And I mean, whether, the Topps did the influencer set, this isn't really, I guess it's a little bit different. I mean, Hasbulla, I guess you could call him an influencer. I mean, I don't really know exactly what he would call himself. Like, he's not even really a fighter, to be completely honest. Like, I don't think he's ever really fought in a ring. Like, he's in that kind of camp when it comes to like people he hangs around with, but for the most part, Hasbulla is definitely not like a fighter. So like putting him in this set is kind of interesting. Like I think the Panini instant card actually was him in the crowd as well. So like I said, I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if other athletes maybe get starting, if non-UFC and non-WWE people start to be in some of these Panini instant sets or the Prism sets. But yeah, so let me know in the comments what you guys think, if you like, this card, or if it's something where, yeah, it's maybe a little bit corny. I think that's what people were kind of saying about maybe the Topps patch, but I thought the Topps patch was pretty cool. But yeah, like I said, let me know in the comments what you think of this card, and if it's something that you're running out to get, I suppose. Hey,
yo, what up?
I can hear me, right?
Yeah,
perfect. Cool. Let me pull up the. Oh wait, actually, I guess it doesn't really matter. I've been trying out, like, with StreamYard. They don't really give you too many options, like the way that if you use like OBS or OBS Studio or whatever, they have like the transitions. But this
have you tried Riverside?
Riverside, no. I've been using pretty much StreamYard for the most part. Is that like an application? Because I know like StreamYard's like web based, so like it's
similar.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. We use
cool.
StreamYard too, but I've heard Riverside's pretty good.
Yeah. How's it going?
It's going pretty well. Just checking out a nice new place to live, thinking about moving. So having a Saturday. How are you doing?
It's exciting. I'm doing well. I have a question for you. What mic are you using there? Do you know
what mic am I using? It's an Audio Technica. I can find out which one it is.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I just ordered a new one.
I actually was about to get a new one too.
I'm just using like a shotgun mic, which works fine.
As long as it works
for the time being. I'm just trying to figure out. I ordered the new one, so it's just like a USB mic, which is good.
I think I'm pretty sure it was pretty cheap.
Yeah, I think the one I ordered was like $50 or $60,
something like that. Yeah,
yeah. Because I do eventually want to get like a Shure, like one of those like crazy ones, but like then you need to get like an audio like box, and it's just a whole
you need like
it's a whole nother thing that I probably would have to get like a. Because I use a MacBook for it, so I guess it's fine. But I almost think, because I would want to use like Stream, like OBS, but like laptop, it doesn't exactly. It's just like
they're not as strong.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Cool. Let me just tweet out the stream real quick. Okay. Blue is on now. App in. So let me see if I can. Okay, here we go. Oh, actually, let me just. That's fine. Okay. Oh, no, sorry. Actually, questions. That's why that was the last thing I need to pull up here. All right, here we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the. I'm still working out the intro a little bit. Sports Card Intel is the show. It's trying to make these shows and brand them that way.
I love it.
Okay. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. My name is Adam. I am your host. Today we have one of my good friends, somebody that I have known for quite some time, kind of when I was getting back into sports cards. This was somebody that I joined, a group chat with, like Aaron, Sasha T, Cage, Gary V, I guess, is in there. You could Lou, Tyler, Card Collector too. I mean,
shout out DJ Nicholson, the legend.
And DJ, right? Exactly. I mean, I don't know. Millie Pops is in there. I mean, I know I'm missing a bunch of people, but either way, one of Mount Rushmore, in my opinion, of people, I think really great content creators. Lou Geneux from 1:37 p.m. from Card Talk, from a bunch of different things. Lou, how are we doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for that intro. Yes, that group chat is kind of nuts. There's like a wild array of humans in there, and we've had it for going on. It'll be 4 years this summer, which is kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Same group chat for 4 years.
Yeah. I think Aaron brought me in there. Aaron from Slapstocks. He brought me in there probably after the 2019 National.
We started at 2019 National. We were trying to get people in, and then Aaron was like, "Oh, I got a guy."
Yeah, nice. And that was me. There you
go.
That was extremely nice of him. I also want to give you another good shout out. I don't know if you remember this, but it was probably March 2020. Gary V, who you worked for, or you do work for, he was doing an Ask Gary V, and I think
the sports card Q&A.
Yeah, the sports card Q&A.
Yes, that was right before COVID.
I think it was either on Discord or we were in the group chat or something along those lines. And you were like, who has some questions? And I gave you my number, and he called me, and I was just, for the next 3 days, it felt like my body was just vibrating. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. I can't believe this. So
that was literally I want to say 2 days before everything shut down.
Yeah, it was. It was March of 2020. I remember because I, promoted it. I was walking to work, and I made a TikTok or something about it. So I want to give you a shout out there, because you were the one that facilitated me getting on that show. So that was, that was a ton of fun. And then we met finally at the 2021 National. 2020 obviously was canceled. So, you guys were super nice. I watched you guys do the live Card Talk at the National booth. That was a ton of fun. So I guess we'll get right into it. For you, how would you describe yourself in the hobby, I guess?
How would I describe myself in the hobby? Oh, interesting. I don't know. I think that I am, number one, my interests change every 5 minutes. I go from I get excited about new things, and I dive into them full boat. So cards is fun for that, because it's the layer. It's a layer on top of a layer. So I get into F1, and it's all right, cool. I can get into the cards now, or I can get into the memorabilia now, or we talk about tennis on our show. We talk about the most random stuff on our show. So for me, I think where I have fun in cards is the discoverability of everything. Right now, my new mission is finding out what the best Aurora Rivas rookie cards are. So I'm diving into that. I'm trying to figure out the exquisites, the whatever else. I don't even know what was around back then, because that was in between the times where I was in cards. So that's cool. I like that part of the whole thing.
Yeah, there's discoverability. That's for me too. I think when it comes to content and stuff along those lines, when I was getting back in, I kind of was just learning about something, and then I'd create a piece of content about it, and then half the time people would be like, no, you're literally completely wrong about this, and I'd have to go back and learn more about the subject. So that actually helped me learn a lot about the hobby. For you, when it came to I guess content in general, was that something that you always expected you'd be doing when you got back into the hobby? Or was it something where it just kind of, not necessarily fell into your lap, or is it something that kind of came together unexpectedly?
It kind of just happened randomly. I was not the on camera guy. That was not my energy. I used to get nervous when we were working, when we'd be at work and I'd be on Daily V or whatever, I would get super uncomfortable and be nervous about it. So that was never my life. Honestly, it really came out of boredom. We were just at home during COVID, and it was all right, let's just get this thing going. So that was where it started. Yeah, I'm definitely not. I never thought that I would be doing content or public facing in any way.
Yeah. So when it comes to right. So when it comes to Card Talk and the podcast and all that kind of stuff, what are the origins, I guess, of the show? I think it's one of I feel like when it comes to podcasts, you always hear the conversation or the topic that's most podcasts don't make it past 5 episodes, and that there are hundreds or thousands made every single day. So what were the origins of the show when you were kind of getting started?
So it really originally was, we were at the 2019 National. Tyler and I were walking around kind of being there's not a lot of content being made that's not from a hardcore hobbyist perspective, right? Like back then, the only podcasts that were around were people who have been in the hobby for a really long time, and they were making great content. But a lot of it was either very collector driven, like hardcore in the weeds, or it was very data driven stuff, like which is what Aaron ended up really doing pretty well. So we were just trying to figure out like what we could do. Do we want to do something? Do we want to write? Do we want to do videos? Do we want to do a podcast? Whatever, we get back to New York. It was busy times right after that. That was the fall of 2019. Super busy, a lot of stuff going on. And then, like I said, like we were in COVID, we were kind of trying to think of something to do, like literally just something to do with our spare time. And it came back up, and we thought to ourselves, all right, me and Tyler were like, all right, we want to do this. Who is the best possible person that we can get to join us with? Because obviously Tyler and myself have not been in the hobby for as long as a lot of other people, and we don't know everything. I think I continue to learn things every single week on our show, and Ryan was the person we thought of as the perfect fit for us. He fit in really well with us. We got along really, really well. And luckily he said yes. So that's kind of the origins. And we've done our 1,000 test shows. We've talked about that in the past. We're trying to find those tapes. I want to get our first test show more than anything. It would be the most embarrassing video of all time.
Love that. And then you guys had, Card Talk Live. That was like a live show that you guys did. That was like 8 or 9 hours. And you had like Pat McAfee, and you had like Kendrick Perkins. Am I correct about that? Or was it not Kendrick? Yeah. So like the name, pretty big celebrities. I mean, it was something that I was, really impressed watching, like seeing, and Pat McAfee almost like showed his balls, I think, or something. He was wearing like,
he was thighs shorts out for the boys. It was good stuff.
That was hilarious. And so, I've heard, you've talked about kind of your origins within sports cards in general too. And, I've heard you talk about like buying Topps Chrome boxes during, LeBron's rookie year.
Bowman Chrome. We were buying Bowman Chrome.
Bowman Chrome. Yes. So
we were baseball, but my dad was a baseball guy.
Right.
So that was the connection.
Gotcha. Yeah. So for you, like that time, and then did you take a break and then get back into it? I mean, I guess I'm interested to know, like, what was the moment or card for you that kind of sparked the desire to get back into cards, I guess, too, is maybe kind of an interesting topic.
So the original was back in 2003 because it was LeBron times, and that's what me and my dad did for fun with Gary and AJ and their friend Brandon, and that was kind of what we did for fun. I became your typical annoying teenager who thought he was too cool for everything and disconnected from cards for a while. That was after I have the story that people don't believe, where like I used to go on my dad's eBay account and buy things like without his knowledge, and then he would have to be like, hey, that wasn't me. But that's a real story. So that's why when I see those stories, I'm like, it could be real because it happened to me like 10 times. But what made me get back into it, honestly, was really Gary. Like it was 2017-ish. He went out to the National in Cleveland. He came back and he was like, listen, this is really fun. Do you remember doing this? Like, let's go to a show, blah, blah, blah. We ended up going out to a show on Long Island, that East Coast National show at, I forget what the name of the college is, but that's where it was. We went out there, we hung out for the day, and I was like, oh, this is really, really fun. And then from there, we just dove back into it head first, Yeah,
and I don't want to sound like I'm like I listen to every single thing, every single podcast, but like they're just stuff that I remember listening to throughout the years. Like I feel like it was either an Ask Gary V show, or it was like some show where you and Tyler were talking about like flipping women's USA cards during the World Cup.
That was the first flip I ever had.
Yeah. So, and that's actually one of the clips that I remember when I got back into cards. Like that's actually one that I remember, because that's kind of what brought me back in as well. Because I was playing a lot of like Madden and MLB The Show. Mm-hmm. And with MLB The Show, you can buy and sell the cards on like your computer. And I was doing that. And then I heard you guys talking about flipping those cards. I'm like, okay, so what I'm doing in MLB The Show, there's got to be a way to sort of do it in real life. And that's kind of how I dove back into cards. So, that clip too, like for you, like, was that an early moment of when you were back into cards, or had you kind of been going to those shows and back into it once that clip had kind of come out?
Those were the first things that I actively decided to purchase and hold for selling, because it was the World Cup was coming up, and I was like, the Women's World Cup, this is the national team, this is the squad, let's get into it. I honestly, it's so funny looking back. Like, I want to say we spent like $92 in total on like 20 cards. And like, I didn't buy an Alex Morgan because it was like $120. I was like, $120? Like, what are we doing? Just funny to think back on that stuff. But wait, what was your biggest flip ever? Because I used to flip FIFA cards.
Like in MLB. Well, I guess in Madden there was this like, I'm trying to think of what year it even was. Like it was, let's see, probably like Madden 2016. Madden 2016. There was this thing, Madden Ultimate Team, called the Ultimate Cards that came out at the end of the year. And you had to get the card, you had to collect all of the cards of that position. So like
Crazy.
the bronze, so like, and the kind of the way that it, not to get super deep into it here, but like the bronze cards were usually put into other sets, or you just got rid of them. So like they were pretty rare. So like the players that were in like the 50, 60, 70 range in terms of,
you would just burn them.
Right. Exactly. So like when you got to the end of the year, I remember for like, I think it was like the punter card. Like I had saved a bunch of the bronze punters, and like I bought them for like 10 coins or something. And I sold them for like hundreds of thousands of coins because like because they did it the year previously. And I mean, that was even the thing for me for playing those games. Like I never even really I did play the game. I played like the online brackets and stuff, but like I just enjoyed playing to like make stubs. Like I would buy a team and I would play with them for a couple games, and then I would just like sell all the players. And like, that's, I feel like how I am sometimes in cards, like, except for I do hoard cards a little bit more probably in real life than I did in the game. But either way, yeah, I mean, that's probably like for any OG Madden Ultimate Teamers, like that's probably like, and I remember it's so funny because I was like, I scheduled it because I knew the card was coming. It was like a whole thing. Like it was, it's a little bit, it's pretty deep in terms of like where you get into it though. Like for you, do you remember stuff like that? I mean, I'd love to hear a story from you too.
Yeah. I mean, like I used to do that with FIFA all the time. I never really, it's crazy. I never got into the Ultimate Team, 2K. What's it called in 2K?
I think it's just my team. I'm pretty sure
my team. I never got it. That was never my thing. I was always a career guy, but with FIFA, I used to play because my friends all played or whatever. And I remember one time I paid, I had like coins or whatever. So I bought like a regular pack, and I got, again, I'm not gonna remember the name of it because it's been a long time, but I got what essentially was like the best Ronaldo card that was available in the game at that time.
Love that.
And when I first got it, I was like, oh, this seems like a cool card, whatever. Like I'll throw him in my lineup. This is awesome. And then I went and looked at the marketplace, and it was like 7 million coins or something. It was like something outrageous. And I kind of didn't know what to do. I kind of froze. It's actually a classic card. So I kind of froze up when I realized what I had. And I was like, all right, do I sell this? Do I wait? What do I do? And I ended up just selling it, which I probably should have taken those lessons with me to cards. But I did end up selling it right away and made some good cash there, but it was fun. And that was when I was like, wait, there's like a whole marketplace. And then I remember they ended up like shutting down all those marketplaces after a while. That was a wild time.
Yeah, because you could like buy and sell the coins too for like real
like
money.
Foot trade
and
or
like,
something, right?
Yeah, I was never into necessarily the buying and selling of the coins, like, but I know that because it was like, that was sort of the thing that when I got back into cards, I was like, there has to be a way to do what I'm doing right now, like in real life with real money, which, you could do like ComC was like, I mean, they haven't really necessarily changed the app necessarily. So it was kind of the same as it was then as it is now. But so like, that was one of them. I think there was one called like the Pit or something. And
the Pit, the Pit was a thing. I know about the Pit.
Yeah. I think that might still be a website. I don't know if there's like as much volume or if there ever really was volume on that website, but like, yeah, I mean, it was something where I've always looked at it and said like, there's gotta be a way to trade real life cards like this for money. And I mean, so I sort of figured out how to do it. I mean, I definitely am no expert in terms of buying and selling cards. Like I'm definitely find myself hoarding cards a lot more. I'm much better at talking about cards than I am about actually buying and selling them, if I'm going to be completely honest. I
just have stacks of Bowman cards here.
Right. Exactly. Like I've been trying to sell some cards recently. And like, I just realized that like, I just have like tons of random, like, like random stuff that like I bought like a couple of, and I'm like, cool. Like I was looking through, I found like a stack of like 1989, like Fleer, Phil Jackson coach cards. Like it's really just like, it's random stuff that you end up finding like,
every time
when you're going through and trying to sell stuff. So, I mean, let's go back to the show for a little bit. So the show, like you said, you kind of sort of, you weren't expecting it to really kind of, I guess, or maybe you did. I don't know if you expected it. Sort of, what are your what were your goals for the start of the show, and have those goals changed? Like, what are your goals now? I guess is maybe kind of the other part of it.
I'm not really a goal guy, so I don't really think about things that way. I kind of just go with the flow and see what it is. Like, really, when we started it, the idea was just to have something to do and like have a place to talk about this thing that I was learning about. And we were lucky, like we were able to get it. Like we were lucky to get a sponsor. 1:37 p.m. was lucky enough to, we were lucky enough to have 1:37 p.m. help us out with production and all that. So they made it really easy. It was really like we kind of just jumped on and started doing it. But now it's really, I kind of just think of it as the 2 hours a week, because we get on at like 9 o'clock in the morning. We go until like 11. Like it's 2 hours a week where I get to hang out and talk about cards in a place where I don't talk about it anyplace else. Like I have one or two friends that I talk to on a day-to-day basis about cards that aren't, Ryan or Tyler, but for the most part, that's where I talk about those things. And that's where I get to sound all that stuff out and think about it. It's also, I think cards is a vehicle to talk about sports, which I don't get a chance to do very often. And it's also a window into like how people think about like business and all that. So for me, it's really my only goals with the show are to have fun with it and just get better. Like what I want to do is get better at podcasting. Like I just want to be better. I want to be a better broadcaster. I want to be better at making content. I want to be better at all of those things. So that's kind of what I think about, but I don't really think of it in terms of goals.
Yeah, I agree with kind of all the points there. I mean, the getting better at broadcasting, interviewing, all that kind of stuff is definitely, goals for me too, I think as well. And so you guys were just actually at Bleecker Trading, right? You did a trade night
for episode 137.
Yeah, shout out to them. How did that go? What were some of your kind of thoughts on that? Like as you're coming
It was great.
Now?
It was great. Trade nights are so much fun because again, like I don't get a lot of opportunity. Like I don't go to shows on a week-to-week basis. I don't get involved on the like in the day-to-day like card stuff online. It just isn't how I spend time. So really, the trade nights are the opportunity. Trade nights, going to a show or whatever, are the only opportunity that I really have to like congregate with people and talk about cards and hang out and just mess around. So they're awesome for that. There was a great turnout. I got to rip a box of Prism football with Doug's from Barstool. Nice. So that was really, really fun. And then, really just talking deals. I ended up not making any deals. I always forget. Somehow we've had 2 trade nights there and both times I forgot to bring my cards. I don't know how I did that, but I always end up just showing up empty handed. So then I end up spending money on things rather than trading.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at the National, I planned on selling some cards, but then I immediately walked in and saw a kid with a case of like 5 Patrick Mahomes NT RPAs, and he couldn't have been over the age of 13. So I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to be.
Yeah, you're in trouble
up here. I'm probably not going to be able to sell this like XR Charizard that's like $10 to anybody.
Right.
I'm probably not going to be able to sell something like that when 13-year-olds are walking around with Patrick Mahomes National Treasures RPAs. So,
but the funny part about that room is an interesting room, man. That there is something for everybody there. There is a deal to be made for whatever you have. You'd have to find, the problem is you have to find the right person, and it's just such a gigantic space. And it's so easy to get lost. But that is the craziest thing to me about the National, whether I have a $2 card to sell or a $200,000 card to sell, there is someone in that room who wants to buy it.
Right. Yeah. And I think, that's kind of the other cool thing about the National, obviously the biggest show of the year. People are looking to buy and sell there. I think maybe if you go to some other shows, people are maybe kind of just walking around. Like when I went to Culture Collision, I was only there for a couple hours, but like down here in Atlanta, like I wasn't really looking to buy anything. So like I don't know. I felt bad at times because I'd just be walking around looking at cases and like make eye contact with the dealer. I'd be like, see ya. Like I'm not trying to really buy anything. And then sometimes you spark conversation and then you're like, okay, sorry, I'm not buying anything. See ya. But at the National, there's just people are wheeling and dealing, 24/7. Like you could probably find somebody 5 o'clock in the morning who's willing to try and do a deal with you at the National. Like
it is the Super Bowl of collecting.
Totally. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I remember, I'm excited for this year. Chicago is definitely my favorite venue. I've only been to Chicago, but like, I don't know. It's something about Chicago in the summer. It's just, it's like a vibe there, and it's going to be, I'm excited for this year for sure.
Me too.
Yeah. So for the show, like, have there been any moments, like obviously we talked about Card Talk Live a little bit earlier, like what has been some of your favorite moments of the show? I mean, I'm definitely interested to hear about that.
Favorite moments of the show. To me, my favorite moments are always like the moments where we're just crying, laughing.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's like building the friendship with Ryan has been amazing. Like, I love that. And I think, times where we've gone out to his shop or he comes to us, it's really just like anytime people are like, oh, I love this show. Like, that's always kind of crazy for me and something that I really enjoy. You have like a kid roll up. Like, last year at the National, like a group of like 5 kids rolled up on me and they were like, hey, we really love the show. I want to buy an Elijah Moore card off of you. Like, can we make a deal? And just having some 12-year-old kid roll up on me and be like, I watched your show. Can I try to kill you on a deal? Made me really happy.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's kind of happened to me. It was very interesting at the National, like, because like I was definitely more focused on TikToks back at that National, and like the weirdest interaction I had, not really weird, but it was kind of funny. I walked by like you said, like a group of kids. And like, as I was walking, I think I had my headphones in, so they may have thought I didn't hear them, but they were like, that's the guy from TikTok. And I was just like,
it's
oh
funny.
My God, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's funny.
And yeah. So, I mean, that National is obviously always a ton of fun. So, when it comes to, from a business perspective, maybe from a content perspective, what are some things that sports cards have taught you?
Well, I mean, it's definitely the number one place where I've learned like, negotiation and making deals. It's also gotten me better at doing research. Like, I'm not a research kind of guy. Like, I'm a big time vibes guy, but with cards, it's like, you got to know what you're looking at and you got to come correct. Especially like when you're coming to a deal, you got to come correct. You got to know what you want. You have to know what it should cost. You have to know what you're willing to pay, all of that stuff. So, for me, those things have been great. And then it's also just been something that has helped me, especially in the last year, like focus on what I actually like want to spend my money and time on. I think a lot of times with cards, you can catch yourself just like buying random stuff. Like you were saying, like you have these 1989 Phil Jackson Fleer cards and you're like, what are these? So for me, it's been helpful in the last year to figure out what I actually want, what I actually want to spend my money on, and what I want to like just get rid of. So all of those things have been really cool for me. And also it's just like the number one opportunity for me to be like, yo, I was early on this guy.
Right. Definitely. Yeah. I definitely feel that. And, from a business perspective, I mean, it's really the only business that I've ever done, I guess. So it's like learning.
I just work. I have like a regular job. So this is the only time I do things.
Same. Yeah. Exactly. And the industry, it's constantly changing. I mean, overnight we saw Fanatics and one random night in December come in and just totally turn the industry upside down. Like, so for you, what's something that you're looking forward to, over the next few years when it comes to, cards and what Fanatics maybe potentially are doing?
I'm interested to see the way they roll out athlete relationships. I think they've put a pretty big premium on that from the get-go. They've made that very clear. Like they came in hot with or making deals with the players associations, right? Like that was a big piece of the puzzle early on to get them involved and make them feel like it's like they're a part of it, right? They hired somebody who's literally from Clutch agency, like as an athlete relations person. And it seems like more and more they've talked about the Instagram stuff, like the cards or whatever will be like Instagram followers. And I think I'm interested to see how that rolls out and what is the way that they kind of nail, because they have access to so many athletes and so many relationships. So I'm just interested to see how all that stuff rolls out. Right.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I'm actually going to try something new on the show today. We're going to do a little bit of a role play here.
Okay.
So hey, Lou, it's Michael Rubin, the CEO of Fanatics here. Okay. I listened to you on the Card Talk pod. I think you're a glue guy there. I think you do a phenomenal job.
Thank you, Michael.
If, I'm looking for some business ideas. I'm looking for some ideas for what we can do with Fanatics. So like, we're not going to pay you for this one. Maybe the next couple we'll try and negotiate something. But like, if you had any ideas for me or Fanatics, give me something. I need something. I need something quick.
Right. Well, Michael, I appreciate you asking me. I think, you're such a titan of business and you're a really smart guy. So I appreciate you caring about my opinion on this matter. I think you guys are heading down the right path. You're doing a lot of the right things. If there's one thing that I would love to see, I would love to see what is the breakout. defining the breakout of the release schedule, I think is an important part of the process. I think right now a lot of cards releases just kind of happen, and they've mentioned, you guys have mentioned recently that you have a pretty good grip on the release schedule going forward. So I would just like a little bit more clarity on release schedule and maybe even tightening it up a little bit. I think there's a lot of releases that happen throughout the year, so something to consider, Michael. I appreciate you asking my opinion, though.
Absolutely. Thank you for the idea. I'll go talk to the people back at Fanatics. Like, I am the CEO, so maybe it'll be my decision what we end up doing. But like I said, thank you for the idea.
Excellent.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate you coming on the show there. That was a new segment called Michael Rubin Joins the Show. Maybe one day he will join the show. I'm trying to manifest a little bit here, maybe.
It'll happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I agree too. I think release scheduling is like, you know, they've got Gold Label, Topps Gold Label is coming out, and it's a 2022 with Bobby Witt and Julio Rodriguez, but like 2023 Flagship is out. So it's like, we have the context now, and this is kind of one of the things I've been talking about. Like, when I saw that product, I was like, we have the context right now of it, you know, the products being a little bit late, but like in the future, we may not. So I guess, I mean, I definitely agree with you with, like, you know, releases. So I guess maybe I got kind of a little bit of a follow-up question.
Okay.
Like, what do you think that they should do with the releases that haven't come out yet? Like, cause I've been trying to figure out, should they just like scrap them and take the L, or should they like, should they just release them all at the same time? Like, I don't know. I always say that
I have an incredible idea for this.
Go ahead. Yes.
So you know what repacks are?
Yes.
Okay. Everyone listening knows what repacks are. Everyone knows what Chronicles is. So this is something that happens. There's like a conglomeration of all these cards, and they kind of just stick them into, I don't know what the right word is. Like, what's that word when it's like a bunch of different things combined into one? Cornucopia is not the right word, yes, but it's that type of thing.
It's kind of like that, but we'll
right. So what I think they should do is they should drop the mystery miscellaneous release box, and you pay, you know, what, I don't know what the average price is of everything combined that is remaining. If they let's call it $150, and you get a box of something, I think that would sell out instantaneously, and you just get it off and you just get it done with.
Right.
I think they need to just get it done with. Like, I think
I agree.
And I understand, like, I completely understand where it's coming from. Like, there's been production delays, there's things that are happening, like they need to get autographs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But dragging it out for an extended period of time, I think, just doesn't help anybody. So I would think it'd be funny if they did like mystery packs, and like you just like, what about the person who randomly gets like a 2022 Dynasty box for $150? Right, that's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff I think will be fun. It'd be fun for everyone involved, to be honest. I don't understand. Like, you always are going to get people who complain, but I don't see the downside of that.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I've thought that they should just come out with all the products, just release all the old products. Let's just try and start new. I know that they probably will not do that because, you know, I don't know. I'm not a business person.
They have their release schedules. They have their business plans.
Right.
They have their deals with Target and whoever else. Like, I completely get it, but it would be funny if they did it that way.
Yeah. And I mean, for us too, like we as card people, like, the products are special, I guess. But for them, unfortunately, it's probably just like another number on a spreadsheet for the most part. Unfortunately, I think, you know, I think one thing that Michael Rubin is doing right now that's really good is getting his face out there. Like, I don't remember ever in the past a CEO. Like, if you were to ask me who the CEO of Topps was before Fanatics took over, I wouldn't be able to pick him out of a lineup, or her, or whoever it was. Same with, I mean, Panini. The only person I really know at Panini that I can think of is I forget his name now that I'm trying to think of it, but either way. So like, I feel like they're doing a good job at putting faces to names when it comes to that type of thing within the industry. And yeah, I mean, I think, I love your idea with like the mystery repack product. I think that would be really fun. Or even like, this would be a lot of work, and I don't think they would ever do this, is like take all the products and make like a Chronicles, but with like packs.
Yeah, that's
like,
what I'm saying. That would be great too.
Yeah,
I'm into that.
I mean, I think that there are tons of things they could do, but you know, it's from a business perspective. Is it going to make the money? Probably not. But can they just get all the product out? And you know, I don't know. It's a weird kind of, I don't know. They're in a weird spot in my opinion.
And everything's presentation, right? Like, I think something with the hobby, and I would love your perspective on this, is like, we're a very skeptical crew, right?
Yeah,
we're a group of people who are very nervous about anybody coming in and trying to change our thing. Like, this is our thing. You don't want to change it, but you do want to change it, but we want to change it the way we want and no one else. So I think Fanatics you made a great point. I think Michael's doing an amazing job kind of trying to ingratiate himself into the hobby. Like, they're pulling up on shows every weekend. He's posting stuff all the time. I love it. I think they're doing everything right. But I think you would agree that they're trying to be mindful of potential pushback and all of that stuff.
Yeah, I think, when it comes to cards, it's one of the only industry, or maybe it's not an only industry, but it's an industry that feels very much like a band that nobody else knows about. That
definitely,
only
100%.
that you feel like you only know about, but like when everybody else finds out about it, you're like, I knew about that band when they were doing shows at that random music hall, and it's like now they're doing shows in stadiums or whatever, and you'd think that maybe they're not as good, but it's like I feel like it should be more where it's like we should be excited that our band is going out and doing stadiums now, but maybe it's more of a content business perspective from me, because like that just means there's going to be more people that are hopefully interested in sports card content. So like maybe that's why I like the growth of the industry. I mean, I can see the other side too, where people, I think a perfect example is like they bought hobby boxes of whatever product, and now they're spending 3 times what they were before. And it's like, that's because there's more people and the demand is higher.
There's more people, the demand is higher. And like, there's also a million other factors in the world that contribute to the cost of goods.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
I just in general think,
sides.
Yeah, I 100% see from both. I completely understand someone who just loves their hobby. They love the way they've been doing it for 25 years and they don't want it to change. I think another thing Fanatics is trying to do very well is they're not trying to take that away. They want to keep that the way it is. They're just also trying to bring other things up at the same time. So I have a very positive outlook on the whole thing.
Right. Yeah. Same with me. And I mean, five years down the road, like we don't even know. Like, so that's kind of the other thing. It's like I think as much commentary as there is in social media and on the internet, like nobody knew that Fanatics was going to come and buy all the licenses. So it's like, who knows?
That was the craziest news of all time. The morning
it was like literally like 10 PM on like a random like Tuesday in like a December.
Right.
It was definitely crazy. And I mean, actually, so speaking of kind of newer products and kind of something that you focus on is like finding these newer products. So like the Topps just announced the Bowman Chrome basketball, which they had before, but now it's going to be licensed. So, is that something that Bowman U basketball, right? Correct. Is that something that you've looked into? I mean, depending on when people are listening to this, Caitlin Clark may be a national champion. Maybe they unfortunately lost. But I'm thinking they're probably going to win. But huh? LSU's pretty good too. But yeah, Caitlin Clark. I mean, watching her, it's like it's just like watching the game. It was like she was playing. It was like no one could guard her. Like I
love that she just chucks threes too. What was she,
like
5 for 17 or something? I love it.
Yes, so funny.
Just
like
keep chucking.
She's very much like Steph Curry in a way, where she just dribbles, and especially it's funny because like she'll just dribble down the court and like 5 seconds into the possession she'll just shoot a 3. She's making them 50% of the time. So it's like, who's to say like she shouldn't? Totally. But then it's also funny when she comes off the court, the team is kind of like looking around, like looking for her.
They got to find a shot maker, right?
Yeah, right. Great. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like for you, like is that the kind of the switch, that's one of the big switch I think that Topps has made here is the football and basketball. What do you think of those like Bowman Chrome U products? Like, is that, it's maybe not necessarily an underground thing or something new, but like, what do you kind of like, what do you think of those products in general?
I think it's dope. For me, I'm not as big of a college collector as other people. I never went to a big college. I mean, like, I've adopted Georgia as my team just because my sister goes there. But for me, it's just, as far like the way I see it as another release, and I see it as another piece of just the sports calendar. Really, it's like, who are these people in college that are really cool? And the other thing I think that's interesting about it is the NIL aspect of the whole thing. I think NIL gets talked about like too much sometimes, but
right.
For the purposes of this, I think the person on like Caitlin Clark's not a good example because she's a superstar, but like I'm trying to think of like the Iowa punt returner who has a crazy touchdown that no one cares about except for Iowa fans, that person has a chance to get I'm using football in a basketball, but you know what I'm saying? Like the tight end, the punt returner comes in,
who's
Braxton Berrios. If you went to Miami, you love Braxton Berrios because he was this amazing player for your team. Not necessarily the most sought after card in the world, but for fans of that team, I think that's the interesting part. College, the cool part about college sports is all the stories of all the random players and the 4-year guy and the 4-year girl or whatever. So I think that is an opportunity that can be interesting. But outside of that, I don't think of it differently than any other product.
Right. Yeah, I think I mean, I guess I may be on the other side. I think it's going to kind of change. I think it's going to change the way people view college cards just because, like, I think the big difference is that the college cards are the licensed college cards of players in college. Like, I think if a Bowman U product had come out when Zion and Ja were in college, like that would have been the biggest, that I think that would be the card that people are chasing versus like their Prism card.
You think?
I mean, so here's how I think of it. I think
you mean Prism draft picks.
Well, so like hypothetically, if this Bowman U Topps Chrome product came out when Zion was at Duke, like it is like how it's coming out now, like I think it would have been a much bigger product, and I think like it would have been a much bigger deal to people because like I think the thing about rookies and prospecting is like, the reason college cards, people don't like them that much is because if they're going to prospect on a player, that player is already on a different team. Like, so like if you're a Duke fan, you don't necessarily want to get a Zion Pelicans.
Oh, interesting. I don't see. Yeah. Interesting.
Because he's not on Duke anymore. But if you're a Duke fan and Zion's playing for your team, then you want to collect that card.
That for sure.
Right. So I mean, that's just. I think it's a big set. I'm pretty excited for the.
I think it's dope. Too. I think it's really cool that college collectors have like another thing to collect, and they have a thing that has their logo on it that they love so much because that's what we've always said. Like I thought you were going a different place, like because I still think ultimately when Zion gets to the league, his Prism is a bigger card than his college. Like his NBA card is bigger than his college. That's just the way it always is. I don't think that's changing. But I agree with you that the college collectors have more to chase during the year, which is cool.
Yeah, I think the Caitlin Clark, Paige Bucher's cards potential. Well, I don't know if Paige Bucher's in the set, but we obviously know Caitlin Clark is. But I think those two names being in that set, I think those two players are going to be like the Lisa Leslie, the Sue Bird, the Diana Taurasi of the NBA. Obviously, with Sabrina Ionescu, she was at Mint Collective, so that was really cool to see her. I did see that involved in the. I didn't see much news about what she was saying, but I saw that she was there, and I mean, that's another player who I think
she said she hasn't bought her cards.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, still.
Yeah, no, she was saying like it's really cool, but I never bought any, which is funny. I wonder how many I do wonder how many athletes have their own stuff.
Yeah, because I mean that's another thing on social media we've kind of seen recently. I mean, Daniel Tilio, I think he's a pitcher for. Mm-hmm. I think he's on San Diego now, potentially. He used to be on the Royals, like in the Royals system. He owns his Bowman Paper 1/1 and his Bowman Chrome 1/1. And so, like, that was really cool. I mean, I wonder, like you said, I wonder how many athletes nowadays are buying their own cards. Like, if you are a player that believes in yourself, like it's an interesting way to kind of maybe supplement like your own play as an investment, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of it's a little bit I would imagine people probably are looking at you a little crazy if you're in the clubhouse being like, look, this is my card. Or maybe if they're cool, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, maybe nowadays it's a little bit different. I'm imagining previously maybe it was a little bit crazy, but nowadays it's probably a little bit different. Yeah. So I mean, for you, speaking of like buying and selling cards, like do you have any cards that you sold that you regret selling actually?
That I regret selling? Not from like a collection perspective, just from like a monetary perspective. I'm sure there's been some. I mean, there's been multiple that I sold too soon on. But I don't know. I think something cool that I sold that I wish I didn't was I had a shout out to Leighton. I had a free break spot, and they opened the box of 2007 Fleer basketball. And I got a KD Fleer throwback, like the 86 throwback. He pulled it out, and they graded it for me in a 10. And it was like, I think that's a cool set. I think that subset is interesting. I ended up holding on to it for a pretty decent amount of time. And then it ran up to like, I want to say like $850. And I was like, all right, well, I have to sell this card now. Like there's no way I'm not selling this. I do wish I still had that just because I think it's a cool story and it's like Hades is one of my favorite players. So I do wish I still had that one.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like sometimes it's almost irresponsible if you don't sell cards at a times. Like I feel like if you
100%.
have a card that you bought for whatever, 10, 15, 20 bucks and it goes up to a couple hundred, it's like, it almost feels like you're doing yourself a disservice by not selling it, I guess. I don't know. It can kind of be like that. So
this is my new card that I'm like obsessed with that I never want to sell, but I definitely will at some point, and I'm gonna regret it. Yeah, this was a big deal for me.
Is it numbered?
Yeah, out of 5.
No, wow, nice. It's a rookie.
Yeah,
nice. That's cool. So kind of a similar topic here. Like, have there been any cards that you were looking to buy and maybe you didn't pull the trigger that like got away? Like, do you have any cards that come to mind that you can think like something like that?
I mean, Lorcana, like I was so Zipper's meowing in the background. Everyone say hello, Zipper, if you're listening or watching. I was so on that. Like it came out. I talked about it on the show the next day. Like the news came out on the Monday coming out of that weekend because it was introduced at E3. We recorded Tuesday morning, and I was like, guys, this thing is going to happen. And the cards were nothing. And I think, I just didn't buy as many as I wanted to. I should have bought like 10 sets. They were so cheap. And then those have gone up to like, I think sets are doing like $20K or something. Like it was insane.
Yeah, yeah, crazy. That's, I feel like everybody has like some kind of story like that where
everyone has those though.
You come out with either a content creator, you don't buy a card, like, and I guess maybe I also have the question from a flip side, from, a content creator perspective. Like, do you know what, maybe you don't know off the top of your head, what would you say is like, what has been your worst take? I think maybe is an interesting kind of content creator question.
My worst cards take. A ton. I get blinded by things I don't understand. So like another recent example is Alcaraz. Those Alcaraz cards that came out. I was and they were cool. Like they were super nice to us. They that whole crew was really cool that came out with those cards. But I just saw the price and I was like, who is this guy? Like who is Carlos Alcaraz? How are these selling for like $2,000? And then they came out and went bananas. They were selling for like $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. So that's the recent one that I was wrong. I've been wrong a gazillion times on those things. Like I'm trying to think of other ones. Like I'm sure someone will hear this and be like, Lou, you said then it went to you're an idiot. I'm sure that'll happen.
Hey, well, I mean, honestly, I would rather people remember stuff that I'm saying than not remember. So in a way, I guess it's maybe a positive that people would be like, you said this and you were wrong. It's like, well, yeah, maybe. I also say a lot of other things that people don't listen to. So
I mean, like I was
kind of that scenario.
I was obsessed with this guy and now he's out of my life. So I don't really know. I guess that's an L.
Yeah. So
I'm sure there's a ton of L's around this room that I'm sitting on.
Yeah. You're just sitting in L's apparently.
Yeah.
So that, the Jordan card, is that like, would you say that's the card right now that means the most to you in your collection?
Definitely. The Astros are my team. That I love the Astros so much. No team has ever brought me as much happiness as the Astros have, especially in the last few years. And Jordan's been a key piece of that. So it was more than I expected to spend on. Coming into the season, I wanted to have a really good Astros card, and I looked around and, Bregman's my guy. I love Bregman, but he doesn't have as many things. And I think Jordan is just like a one of one. Like I think he might be the AL MVP this year. So I was very excited to jump on that one when I could.
Yeah, I feel like he's like sneaky, like one of the better players in the league. Like I think maybe in the card community, people talk about him, but I feel like, and I don't know, maybe it's more just like from an MLB perspective. There's a lot of like older players who are kind of on the tail end of their careers. So like people are trying to hold on to the good players before they leave. And they're not as maybe focused on a player like Jordan or.
Well, he's an Astro. That's
right. And that also could be the case, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, coming from, I don't mean to, like, I was on Hobby Hotline just like an hour ago talking about, being a Boston fan and us winning all the championships. I I don't love, bringing it up all the time, because it doesn't make me any
No, I
better
get
than
it.
anybody else. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. The Patriots are in a similar boat where, Patriots, Astros. I mean, obviously you as a Jet fan probably hate hearing that comparison, but
it's a good comparison though.
Yeah.
You know how happy it makes me to think that people think one of my teams is a dynasty like the Patriots? Are you kidding me? That's like my dream.
I did get into an argument with some of my friends back home like a couple years ago about the Patriots, and I was like, come on, guys. Like they did some shady stuff, and everyone's like, no, they didn't. And I'm like, come on. Just admit it. Just admit it already. We did it. We did it. We won. Whether the championships are taint, the banners will fly forever. So that's all. Or
flags fly forever. If you are not a fan of the team, you are more than welcome. It makes a ton of sense why people would hate the Astros. I'd be jealous of the Astros too. I'm extremely jealous of the Patriots. Like that's just what it is. That's fandom.
Right. Yeah. So I have a couple last questions for you.
Sure.
So well, I guess we'll start with fandom. I guess that's kind of a good kind of conversation. Do you think that fandom sometimes can, do we wear rose-colored glasses sometimes
Definitely.
within the card community when it comes to fandom of our teams versus whether you're prospecting or picking up a player, how do you think that affects your decisions and kind of our decisions just in general?
Well, I think people get rose-colored glasses for their investments, not just their teams. Like that happens
totally
100%. Like people get obsessed with players, and you can't have a conversation about a player without people freaking out and being like, "Why would you say anything negative about this guy that I invested all my money into?" And it's like, well, an unfortunate part of life is that if you make a bad investment, like people talk about it. But that 100% happens. I think it's more like I'm good at recognizing my own biases. Like I know I'm obsessed with the Astros. Like I know that I overvalue people. I was paying. I'm not going to not to pull the card up again, but I was overpaying for Elijah Moore. Like you wouldn't believe. Like he was Jamar Chase. Like it was ridiculous. So I think it's just important for you to recognize your biases going in, right? Like when I talk about the Jets or I talk about the Astros or whatever, like I don't anticipate. I mean, at least I hope people understand that I'm speaking from a place of fandom. That is where I will always speak from. And I think that's where everyone speaks from. We are not journalists here. We are not serious commentators, whatever. Like we're all just having fun, and you can be objective while also having fandom at the same time.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that too, I think that's one thing that has changed my opinion on sports, like cards in general. Like I feel like I just root for more players than I used to. Like, and maybe that could be a Boston thing where I'm not necessarily rooting. Well, I am rooting for the teams to win championships, but I'm not like living and dying by like them every single night like I maybe was before.
Well, you're spoiled now. That's why.
Yeah, maybe that could be the case, and maybe that's why I can look at like Ronald Acuna, or I can look at like a Juan Soto, and I can root for them to win championships because they're young players in the league, and I think that also helps sports cards too because they're players who, whether we like it or not, they're the ones that are sort of running the hobby, I guess. Like young players and young players succeeding are very important to the hobby. So like if we went through like a 2013 draft class for quarterbacks, like that's probably going to be pretty bad for the hobby. I'm
gonna pull that up real quick while we're talking because now I want to see it.
Which actually now Geno Smith's actually has turned his career around. But like if the Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston, like if
this is a tough draft.
If Trevor Lawrence turns into Jameis Winston, we're in for some trouble, I think. Like now, granted, the cards are obviously going to be a lot different, but like if Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow turn into Marcus Mariota and they're getting cut by the Falcons for Desmond Ridder, like we're probably in a little bit of trouble when it comes to cards and investments, unfortunately.
When do you think it's appropriate to stop talking about that as a potential down the road thing and as a thing that's happening in front of our face? Like I think there's a pretty clear separation at this point between Burrow and Herbert, but people don't talk like that.
Well, I mean, I think when it comes to Burrow, like he's been in a Super Bowl now. Granted, I think you look at like if you look
he's
at
been in a Super Bowl, been in bigger playoff games, played better in bigger playoff games.
Right. I also think too it can be interesting because and I don't want to compare anyone to necessarily Peyton Manning, but like Peyton Manning played terrible in his rookie year and then look at what he turned into. So I guess it's always tough. I think it may even just be honestly a conversation until until like the player maybe retires, to be completely honest. Like it's hard to really, it's hard because then also you look at like John Elway or Dan Marino, like they didn't play well in their first couple seasons. I think like Dan Marino, like if a player, I forget if it's Dan Marino or John Elway. I know it's one of the two, but if a player played like them now, like if Trevor Lawrence came out and played in his rookie year the same way, they would be absolutely crucified on whether it's social media or in the media or whatever. But it's like, I mean, even Trevor Lawrence, for example, like he didn't play that well his rookie year. Second year gets a new coach. So I do think it's all sort of, it can be very situational based too. Like Brandon Staley, the coach for the Chargers, he might just be bad. And if they bring in somebody who's like, I don't know, if they bring in a different guy, like you look at, who's the coach for the Jaguars? What's his name again?
Doug Peterson,
right. Like he was the coach for Carson Wentz when they went to the Super Bowl. So, and when he won the MVP. So it's like, you look at that and you say, like, if there's just a different coach that they can bring in, maybe somebody can turn their career around. I don't know. It's kind of along those lines.
But in the meantime, and this is what I've been saying about Herbert this whole offseason is like, and I love Herbert. Like, I actually think he's a really talented guy. I think he gets way more slack than he deserves, considering the outcome of his game so far. And I think people talk about him like he's on the level of Burrow, and he's just not. Like, I think he could get there. It's very early. He's 2 or 3 years into his career, whatever. But in the meantime, until he gets there, which hopefully he will, and nothing would make me happier than Justin Herbert being an elite quarterback and winning a bunch of we're in a little bit of a different era now. I want him to suck because of the Jets. But nothing will make me happier than seeing him succeed. But I think in the meantime, we need to act appropriately, and we need to talk about these players and their cards and the prices of those cards accordingly. And I don't think that happens. I think we give our favorite young athletes too much runway while their prices continue to rise. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that makes complete sense. And I think that's just the nature of cards, and maybe that's the nature of sports in general. Like
100%.
We always just, every quarterback is the next Peyton Manning when they get drafted. Every quarterback is, the next guy.
But really, because like in real life, we act really fast.
Right, exactly. Well, it's kind of a
weird balance.
There. Yeah, definitely. So I've got one last question for you before we wrap things up here.
I'm ready.
You talked about that Jordan card being like a big purchase. So like other than that card, what would you say is like your dream card that you'd like to add to your collection?
My dream card right now is whatever the best Revis I could find is. I don't know what it is. I don't know where it comes from. I've been lucky enough to get my hands on some serious Mark Sanchez cards. So like
nice.
That Jets era is like my era. The 2008 to 2012 is like my prime time Jets when it meant the most to me. I've never cared about it. I never cared about anything as much as I cared about the Jets in that period. So, the Sanchez's, the Revis's, the Braylon Edwards, Santonio Holmes, David Harris, those are all my guys. I want to get the nicest possible cards of those Jets that I possibly can.
Love that. Yeah, I mean, and so that era, how old would you say you were when that era was kind of?
They went to the AFC Championship game in 2009. I was 15.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing with like, I feel like sports and music are very similar, where we always romanticize
it's when you have the most time on your hands.
Right, and it's just when everything is new and everything is fun, and then when you get older, it's like you realize, maybe high school wasn't so boring after all.
Yeah.
You sit there in your third period math class being like, let me get this over with. And then
get me out of here.
Now you're sitting at your desk at 3 p.m. like, wait, can I go back to that math class? It's like,
what about when school ended at 3:00? The day was over at 3:00.
Oh my God, that was crazy. And it's also crazy to think like high school actually prepared us for real life way more than college did. Like you have to sit there all day doing something that maybe if you're lucky, you enjoy, but like, and out at 5, out at 3, but yeah, like you said, you're out at 3:00 and then you have the rest of the night. Like granted, if you're showing up to high school at 6:30, it's like you're barely even awake at that point. Like you're still got your like.
It's actually so crazy. It's so crazy to talk about. Like I would get to school at 7:50 every day. My first period was at 8:10. I would be done at school by 2:30. I would go home, and then I would just play video games for like 6 hours every day.
Every single day.
So
and if I was lucky, I'd write down some of like the algebra equations that I had for homework. And if I was unlucky, I was just like scribbling random things on the piece of paper 10 minutes before the next period was supposed to start. Like it is. I don't know. I guess this is a sports card podcast, not necessarily an education podcast, but it is crazy that like they expected us to learn like Spanish at like 8:30 in the morning on like a random snowy Wednesday in like January. Like that's
it's like go learn Spanish, then go learn economics, then go learn chemistry.
Yeah, we had to learn all of these things,
and then go to gym class, and then when you're sweaty from gym class, do like video production. That was pretty much my day.
And then here's a chocolate milk at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Go like go like I said, go learn Spanish. Here's a chocolate milk that your body doesn't know how to process yet. Like here's a chocolate milk pizza. Like it's great.
Oh my god, that's funny.
It's great. Yeah. So I mean,
what about you? Wait, what's your biggest card?
Oh, my biggest card. It changes a lot. I would say almost on like a daily basis. It really just kind of depends on what I'm doing. Like, so I mean, honestly, like the Caitlin Clark 1/1 coming out of like the Bowman Chrome product would be like an amazing card to own. Like the Bowman Chrome tops the Superfractor Auto. So like today it's that. Tomorrow it could be, if the Patriots trade for Lamar or something like that, it could be like the black 1/1 Lamar. Like it really just changes. And I mean, I think that's the great part about cards in general. Like there are so many cards that you can just own. I mean, it's always, like I said, it can always change and you never really locked in. Like you don't have to be locked into anything if you don't want to be. I mean, kind of similar for me too. Like actually just going back to that, like, 15-year-old era, like Devin Hester is one of my favorite NFL players. Like I have a couple jerseys and like he was one of the jerseys I bought when or I got it for Christmas, not necessarily bought, but one of the jerseys that I had growing up because like I would play Madden and I played with the Bears online and he was a cornerback, but he had good catching and he was the fastest player. So I just put him a wide receiver. And I
did the same thing with Champ Bailey.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, it's, or also Darren McFadden. Do you remember Darren McFadden?
Yeah. He was a beast.
Like I played with the Raiders and like Madden, like 09 maybe. And like,
must have been 08-09.
08-09. And the Raiders were like, they were ranked 70th overall or something, but like you just play with them and they were like Super Bowl. They were like a Super Bowl team online. It was crazy.
They were so fast. That's when they had like their whole team was just really, really fast. And that's all you needed to win at Madden.
Right, exactly. Or I mean, like I've been this year and last year with Boston getting a Call of Duty team. I've been really into like the Call of Duty League. So like getting like a low numbered Scump card or like a low numbered like Methods was a player that played for Boston that retired. That I'm wearing. They're playing today, so I'm wearing the shirt right now. Actually preparing for it. But yeah, I mean Call of Duty League. I mean, like I said, it's always changing. So it's that's the cool part about cards.
Yep. Yeah, I feel that way with like Fortnite cards because I've gotten back in. Yes. I wanted to get Fortnite cards like 2 years ago and I never did, and now I'm getting back into Fortnite again and I wish I had stuff. And I feel that way about like Barstool stuff. Like I think Barstool is like such a culturally relevant, like kind of set the tone for how people talk on the internet. I think especially about sports these days and on social media. So guys like Dave, like that kind of stuff, like they have something. Do you pay attention to Barstool at all?
Oh yeah. I mean,
okay. So do you know?
It's funny you mentioned that. Like, I'm trying to sort of do my show based on how they do it. So like the segments and all that kind of stuff. But yeah. So sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So you know the Yak obviously, and they have. Yes. Have you heard about like their Kiss Coin thing?
There's so many different segments that they do on that show.
Okay. So they came out with these. They came out with these like commemorative coins and they only sold a couple hundred of them or whatever. And they sold out instantly. And if you have that coin and you see them in public, they have to kiss you on the cheek.
Oh my God.
That's like the bit.
That show is so funny.
I just think that's really funny. I'm not trying to get a kiss from like Roan or whatever, but like, I just think it's a funny thing to have. So I'm constantly looking for that. There's 2 on eBay right now that I have offers out on that I want to get. So stuff like random, stupid stuff like that are the kind of things that I'm interested in these days.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, like I said, they have so many funny segments on that show. So yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much all the questions I had. Let the audience know where they can find you and what you got going on.
Just subscribe to Card Talk. That's all I care about. Subscribe to Card Talk. Check us out every Wednesday on YouTube, on Instagram, on not Instagram, Spotify, Apple, whatever. And then also subscribe to Sports Card Intel.
Wow. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'll make sure to pass along all the good news to Michael when I talk to him next.
Yes, please do. Please do. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
See you, man. Thank you.
See ya. Thank you, Lou. I think he's in the backstage. I guess I don't want to. We're all good here. Thanks, Lou. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. I got to fix this. Great show for Lou. Thank you to Lou for coming on there. Oh. Always a blast talking to Lou. Like I said, one of my good friends. Met him at the National in that group chat with him. Thank you for leaving the comments. I'm gonna get a screenshot of the Michael Rubin face. That was funny. I'm glad that ended up working out. I was setting that up, and I wanted to make sure. It worked. All right, so let's see what else we got. I think we got some other topics to go over. Opening day, covered that. There it is. That was good. I'm trying to do more bits. Oh, that was funny. That was good. All right. We got Mint Collective too. I don't know if anybody is out there in Vegas at the Mint Collective. Been seeing some news about it. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, let's pull up. Cardboard Connections, top selling sports card boxes from the past week. We'll pull that up. Okay, here we go. Let me flip this here. I don't really need these headphones right now. Just make sure mic is good. All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. My name is Adam. I am your host. Thank you for clicking on this video. We are going to be talking about some of the hobby boxes that were the hottest this past week. Thank you to Cardboard Connections for this list. Let's get right into it. As always, I'm interested to hear your thoughts in the comments. Make sure you leave one if you have one. And if you like the video, make sure you hit the like button. And if you are new, make sure you hit subscribe. I would really appreciate it. So, as always, Beckett, we're going to get into this. From the 22nd to the 28th, Beckett, the hot boxes. Something that I guess I was a little bit surprised by. We're going to start off Topps Gold Label. I talked about this probably like 2 weeks ago on one of the episodes of Rippin and Open. So Gold Label is kind of like Select when it comes to the tiers of the checklist that they have. They have three different tiers, each one getting more rare as you go up, obviously. But the checklist is, I think, 1 through 100 every single time. So I'm not 100% sure how you can tell the difference. I'm imagining it must say on the card. I'm not 100% sure, but if I had to guess, that's probably what I would say is the way that you can tell. Let me just make sure I have this info up here. We're going to start that. We're good. Okay, so then Series 1 still at the top of the list. One that actually dropped pretty significantly is Prism Football. Was number 1 last week. Now it's dropped all the way down to number 12. I hope it wasn't because I was talking poorly about it. I'm just going to check some of the comps for the sold items. Yeah, I mean, still pretty much the same price. Still $650 for those Prism hobby boxes. Not something I don't know. And I think actually I do have a correction on when I was talking about the hobby boxes from the last show. I think I said if you were buying boxes last year for $300 or $400, apparently a lot of people have been commenting and saying that those were like $1,000 boxes last year. So they've gone down pretty significantly. So I guess, I don't know, maybe you think you got a deal. I don't know. If you're on social media and you're seeing these boxes and you're seeing them last year, they were $1,000, now they're $650, you're thinking you're getting a deal. That probably isn't the case for those Prism boxes. Obsidian, I did talk about this one a little bit. It's very much like a Breakers product because of the way that it is configured. Comes with four autographs or memorabilia cards. I would, on per box on average, I do not love how this is all worded. I wish it was just like you get 4 autographs or you get 3 autographs and 1 guaranteed memorabilia card. And if they could just guarantee it. Like, I don't know why they have to put this per box on average. Like, it seems like, I don't know, it seems like it's a way for them to sort of get away with not putting this much in there, because then that also means that some boxes might have 5, which I don't think is fair either. Like, if you're buying a box, you're already taking a risk. I don't think you need to add more risk of what you're getting in the box by adding this per box on average kind of wording on certain products. Like, I just think I get that it's more of a Breakers product and that it isn't necessarily somebody like, let me see. Let me go to these boxes. They're selling for like, let's see. These ones are selling for $350 to $400. Yeah, if you're spending $350 to $400, like, I wish it was just like, I don't know, the hit-based products, I don't know if they are great for the hobby. I'm trying to maybe work this take out a little bit. Maybe I could be wrong. But like, I think if you're looking at sports card boxes are typically the first way that a lot of people get into sports cards. So like, if they see a box of this and they don't really understand the configuration and all that stuff, like, they're going to look at it and say $450 or $350 for a box. Like, yeah, I'll buy it. Like, but they don't understand that I get that it says 7 cards per box, but they don't get the concept of why there's only 7 cards per box, like, compared to, compared to the Topps, you're getting like 12 packs. And I guess it's like, you're only getting 1 autograph or relic card. I wish it was in a hobby box. I wish it was, instead of the or, I wish it was an and. Like, I wish it was you're getting one autograph and one relic card. I get that it's a way that they can sell more boxes and not have to change the odds of the boxes. Like, I get that's kind of what they're doing here, but at the same time, like, I don't know. I wish that, like, I wish that there was a guarantee that you're getting an autograph every single time you get a box. And for the Obsidian, I wish that it wasn't per box on average. I wish it was just like, you get 4 autographs or you get 4 memorabilia cards. I wish it just said exactly what you get rather than it being like a mystery, because there are so few cards in the box. Like, I wish it was almost like you're guaranteed. Like, I wish that they would say you're guaranteed a rookie autograph, you're guaranteed a veteran autograph, you're guaranteed like maybe a rookie RPA, you're guaranteed a veteran RPA, you're guaranteed a base card, you're guaranteed a non-autograph card, something along those lines. Because if there's 7 cards in this box and you're saying that 4 of them on average are going to be autographs or memorabilia, that means 3 of the cards are not going to be autographed, and they may not even be rookie cards. So it's like, the value is coming from those autographs. So like, if you're getting this box and you're only getting 3 autographs, or you're getting like all memorabilia cards, like, it's a gamble that I wouldn't take myself. And maybe that's sort of like, we've talked about this on previous stuff. Like, it's just a gamble. And maybe that's, people like to gamble on this kind of stuff. Like, maybe they like the fact that they don't know, you get the box and like, there's a chance that you could pull, I don't know, like a Brock Purdy 1 of 1 or something along those lines, I think. Prism Premier League Soccer, number 4 on this list. Origins Basketball, kind of similar, the per box on average. I'm going to go back to Prism Soccer there in a second. Leaf Metal Baseball, not something I would be going for. Topps Chrome Update, still on the top of the list, pretty good. Topps Chrome Sonic, still there. Bowman Chrome Football, still there. Heritage High Number, still there. Panini Draft Basketball is on that list. Pretty, decent product, I think, there. Let's go back up to, Prism Premier League Soccer. This is the product that's going to have Haaland in his first Manchester United jersey. You probably are going to see maybe the first Tyler Adams. I don't think Weston McKennie would be in this product for Leeds, but like Brendan Aronson, Tyler Adams, there's a chance that you're probably going to see them in this product. I would hope so, at least. Let me just check over on eBay, see what we got for prices here. Looks like roughly $250 for a box. Not terrible. I wonder if Panini sold them what they were selling them for. So yeah, $250 for this box. Pretty decent. I mean, this one you're getting 12 cards per pack, 12 packs per box. Let's see and then find 1 autograph per. Again, the per box on average, I think is such. I don't know. I don't like it that much, to be completely honest. Like it should just be 1 autograph. Like, just make it. You should just make it 1 autograph. I don't know, whatever. But so this would be first Prism Soccer product since the Prism World Cup product. That was a pretty popular one. I was actually grabbing a couple of those boxes when that product first came out at Walmart because they had them. They were a little bit expensive. I think they were like $35 a box, which I think Walmart typically you're seeing blasters and boxes like that go for a little bit more at Walmart. I'm not sure if that's just because they are just like, we're just going to charge more because we want to, or if like maybe they're buying them for more. Cause like Target, most of the blasters you're looking at like 25 to 30, where Walmart, you're looking at like 35 to 40 for some of those blasters, which $40, that's not the price you should be looking for any blaster. If you're spending $40, like mega boxes used to be 50, and that was like you got like a ton of cards from that box. So yeah, like I said, the 1/1 Halan was pulled. I talked about that a couple weeks ago. I don't think it necessarily hurts the price of the boxes. Like, I think that Panini should, I don't know how they would be able to do this, but I feel like there should be some sort of tracker that Panini has that says like these, if you're a breaker and you're pulling certain cards out of certain boxes, you should have to like register some of the hits so that way people know, because I feel like when you're opening boxes and it's sort of a gamble, but like if people know the cards that can still be pulled, and I guess maybe it gets into the conversation of like, yeah, is that a good idea or it's not? Because who knows, like maybe people aren't registering if they're not breaking, and then that leads to maybe speculation on what cards are still in the box, what cards aren't in the box. But I think it would be kind of a cool idea if Panini or some company were to put together like a database for breakers for like, if a breaker pulls a 1/1 or if a breaker pulls an autograph, they can go to the registration and put in that this card was pulled. So that way people know that the card's not going to be coming out of this box. So like if you're trying to pull that card, or I don't know, maybe it's like you work with eBay, or maybe it's like, it could be, see if it's Panini, that you'd have to have probably a team that does this where they are pulling cards from, let's say, eBay. They're also pulling cards from breakers. 1 second. You're pulling cards. Panini pulls cards from eBay. They pull cards from breakers. They pull cards from, any of the auction houses. And they have a registration that says if you want to see which cards have been pulled, you can just go to this link and it'll show you. It gets into the transparency conversation when it comes to boxes. Is it something that I think Panini would want to do? Probably not, because it is something where it's like extra work. Daniel said, although you like it, they wouldn't do it because they wouldn't sell as many boxes. I would be interested if they did the experiment, because I would be interested to know if, well, because the thing is with Panini, it's like they've sold all the boxes already. That's kind of the thing when it comes to boxes. Like, sure, maybe people wouldn't buy them from their website, but it's like, for the most part, most boxes have already been sold. Like, they've already been sold to distributors. They've already been sold to, maybe breakers. They've already, maybe if they're selling them on eBay, they've been sold on eBay. So it's like the conversation of like, should people know what cards are still available, I think is an interesting one. It is tough. I get that, you can't really, maybe people, it would hurt the price of some of the boxes, but I think also that would be better for cards. I think that'd be better for people who want to open these boxes, because they would, if the top chase card from a product has already been pulled, does that hurt the price of the box? Maybe, but at the same time, like, it hasn't hurt this product. Like, I don't think we've really seen a decline in the price of, Premier League Prism at all. Yeah, like I said, we're still looking for I got probably like one or two more topics, I think. I'm just looking at what I got on the list here. So I think got a couple. I'm going to try and combine the quarterback stuff because we had some quarterback news this week. I'm going to try and combine the stories. What's up, everybody? Thank you for clicking on this video. My name is Adam. I am your host. We are going to be talking about a few of the quarterback news stories related to sports cards that happened over this past week. Thank you for clicking on this video. If you have comments about these topics, make sure you leave them in the comments. If you are new, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if you like the video, make sure you hit the like button. Let's get right into it. So the first piece of news that came out was that Lamar Jackson, apparently, he announced by himself on Twitter, which he has he's been representing himself. I think maybe one of his family members is also helping him with representation. So he announced that he requested a trade back at the beginning of March. When it comes to cards, I guess with Lamar Jackson, it's interesting because he won his MVP. I think he unfortunately had let me reset this clock here. So when it comes to cards, Lamar Jackson, I think he may have won a MVP at literally the worst time when it comes to his cards potentially, because he won his MVP when cards were absolutely exploding. So his card blew up the same way that a lot of other cards did. But since he was the MVP of the league, his card probably saw a significant higher jump than maybe a lot of others. His cards have dropped down closer to where they were pre-pandemic. And now he's requesting a trade. I don't like the situation with the situation with Baltimore is a little bit stinky, if you ask me. I just wish that they would be able to give him the money. I do also wish that other NFL teams and quarterbacks could look at the Deshaun Jackson or the Deshaun Watson situation and be like, yeah, that was a mistake by the Browns to give him all that money. He unfortunately, which granted, it's not on him to not take the money. It's on the Browns for having poor leadership, having poor managing of a team. They essentially ruined the quarterback market, because now every quarterback that becomes a free agent is going to look at that Deshaun Watson contract and they're going to want that money too, because Lamar Jackson's an MVP. He's brought them pretty far in the playoffs. Deshaun Watson, I'm not going to get into what he's done, but if I'm Lamar Jackson, I'm saying that's the contract that I want. I'm wanting this contract because look at what I've done in the league so far compared to Deshaun Watson. why should I not get the contract that he's got? And granted, we have also seen caps go up. So like the interesting thing when quarterbacks sign a contract, it's like every single one is like the biggest contract in NFL history. It really just depends on, what year it is and what time of free agency these players have come into. Lamar Jackson is saying that he's requested a trade. It's also kind of getting into the franchise tag situation where it's like, I don't love the idea of the franchise tag because it just hurts the players more than I think it helps the team. I think because it's like, yeah, sure, if you're franchise tagging a player who is a key player on your team, but you're not ready to sign him, so you're going to sign him the next year. I guess that's best case scenario in something like this. But at the same time, like if you're Lamar Jackson, why should you not have the guaranteed money? Why should you not have the guaranteed contract when you're playing one of the more dangerous sports? And, whether we like it or not, Lamar Jackson, the way he plays can be a little bit dangerous just because he's running all over the field, which I love. First of all, like I think he's adding a ton of excitement to the game, and he's adding a ton of excitement to the position. But when it comes to cards, I think we have to realistically take a step back, and the charts we're using for comparing quarterback cards, unfortunately, I think we have to look at like the 2021, 2022 time periods as almost like an anomaly because it was. And I guess looking back on it now, it's easy for me to sit here and say that because when I was in it, I didn't see that coming necessarily. I probably should have because, there were people that were calling for it, I guess. But at the same time, like, I just think that, the time period of when Lamar Jackson, let me just go to Card Ladder real quick and like look at his cards. Like the time period when Lamar Jackson cards were just absolutely exploding. Like we were still maybe in an era where we didn't know how many of those cards there were. We were still maybe in an era where, unfortunately, the cards, people didn't know exactly what they were buying when they were trying to buy. And I guess, obviously, if you're buying a Lamar Jackson card for, I think they were like $1,000. I'm trying to compare. Here we go. Lamar Jackson, Prism, PSA 10. Right now, they're sitting... From what it looks like, they're sitting at about 260. Unfortunately, that's at one point. Actually, that's 2 years. So let me see all time. Maybe, yeah. Actually, let me just share this screen really quick. We can just look at his prices. Like, unfortunately, the August of 2020. $3,500. It's unfortunate that someone bought that card for that price. And I mean, I think actually it probably cards like this are probably some of the reason why we're seeing a lot of the downtrends in a lot of cards because people probably lost a significant amount of money on cards like this because there were people that bought them in 2018 PSA 10s for 42. And then if you're selling them at the peak right before the NFL season, which I've seen a trend where right before the NFL season is probably one of the better times to sell your cards. Even a month later in September, those cards are selling for $2,500. And then once the season gets going, there's in January, they're already down to $900. And like I said, now they're sitting at $260. So it's like, this time period, I think, is going to be an anomaly. And I think it's probably, unfortunately, a time where I think it's going to have maybe more of a ripple effect on cards when it comes to what some of these, Prism cards could sell for. And it's even like, if you look at the population, it has a very low population, all things considered, compared to other quarterback cards, the less than 700 PSA 10. So it's like, in theory, that card should be maybe higher than $260, I guess. And this is me speculating a little bit. I'm not saying go out there and pay $260 for the card, but like with that low of a population, I don't know. I think it should be more in like this area with like the $400 to $500 range. maybe the trade talks have hurt his cards a little bit. Maybe, the injury probably hurt his cards a little bit. But overall, like, it's going to be interesting to see where he goes. And if he can play at that MVP potential again, like, I don't expect his cards ever to get to this point again, but I could see them probably getting to, the potentially $1,000 range. Like I said, with less than 700, if you compare that to other players, like, that's a really low population. So for Lamar Jackson, hopefully he can find a place where, I don't know, I don't necessarily think he's disliked here. He's obviously liked, but at the same time, like, they're not giving him the money, which is kind of messed up, which I wish that they would. But that's kind of just overall what's going on with Lamar Jackson right now and some of the news that happened this past week. The other quarterback we're going to get into, we're going to talk about this news pretty quickly. We're going to talk about John Lynch saying that Brock Purdy is, it deserves to be the starter. I think that this could be very misleading because he's not the coach. Because it could be something where they're trying to trade either him or Trey Lance potentially at the draft. This person here said Trey Lance is slowly becoming one of the biggest busts in NFL history. I don't even think Trey Lance has had the opportunity to be a bust. Like, he got hurt. He didn't really start. And then when he did start, he got hurt. And then, so Brock Purdy, again, another player that did get hurt, but at the same time, like, I wonder if this comment is made more to try and get more draft capital, if they're potentially looking to trade him, or if it's actually like, he's going to be the starter and Trey Lance lost his opportunity, which, if you have a first round pick like that, it's really, if you miss when you have such a high draft pick, it's very hard to reconcile, the picks that you used on a player like Trey Lance, where you look at other players in that draft that you could have got, like, you could have got another position player. Like, it was just always an interesting situation in San Francisco. They have a really good team, but around him, I think it's hard. Like, any quarterback that's in that scenario is probably going to be pretty good because of the team that they have around him. And then we'll get to the other Brock Purdy news that Panini came out with. Panini America product release schedule says stays on track for football products. If the Panini America product release schedule stays on track, that's a sort of a strange way to word it. But either way, Brock Purdy's first RPA is going to be coming out of 2022 National Treasures. So that means any football products. I don't know if that means he's not going to have any RPAs in products that don't come out before National Treasures. So make sure if you're looking to buy into any breaks, or if you're looking to buy any Brock Purdy cards, just know that National Treasures this year is going to be his first RPA that he's going to have. I guess it's interesting that, when it comes to Brock Purdy, like, I don't think he's going to be like the next Tom Brady when it comes to a player drafted late in the draft and then goes on to maybe have a good career. I don't know. Or maybe he is. Like, this is kind of the crazy thing about sports. It's like, who knows? And also because, like I said, Brock Purdy has a really good team. Like, the 49ers are a really good team around Brock Purdy. So it's like, who really knows what his career trajectory could be? So if you're into Brock Purdy, if you're trying to buy any of his cards, just know that the news around him, I don't know if it's necessarily all sunshine and rainbows, because, like, what's going to happen with Trey Lance? Sure, Jimmy G goes over to the Raiders, so he's not going to be, you don't have to worry about that. But, like, what are they going to do with Trey Lance? Like, are they going to be able to trade Trey Lance? Are they going to trade Brock Purdy? Like, who really knows? And if they trade Brock Purdy, what happens to some of his 49er cards? Like, do they lose value because he's not in a 49ers jersey? My prediction for this upcoming draft is that it's going to be one of the wildest. I think it's going to be an extremely wild draft. Like, I think there's going to be tons of trades, teams trading up, teams trading down, quarterbacks getting picked early, quarterbacks maybe falling in the draft a little bit, teams trading potential draft picks, teams trading future draft picks for this year. I don't know, because last year, Brock Purdy, turns out he's going to maybe be one of the best players coming out of the draft. And it's like, and maybe it gets into the conversation for sports card people where it's like, maybe the Trey Lance, the Zach Wilson, sure, they're like the next shiny quarterback card or the next shiny quarterback that's new and has an opportunity, but like maybe they're not always the player that we expect them to be, and that maybe a player like Brock Purdy is, maybe, I don't know, maybe there's more of an opportunity to buy some of the quarterbacks who are drafted later on at potentially cheaper prices. Maybe those cards have more upside than drafting like a Zach Wilson or Trey Lance. I think is a perfect one-to-one example here with the 49ers. Those cards were probably pretty expensive when you were buying them. So like maybe there's more of an opportunity to buy quarterbacks in the later rounds than to buy the first round quarterbacks. I don't know. Like I said, it's all speculation, but I think those two kinds of pieces, I think Lamar Jackson may be another example. Like Lamar Jackson was the 30th pick in that first round. Sure, still a first round pick, but like I don't think people really expected Lamar Jackson to turn into this player that he is today. Obviously, he had a lot of hype in high school, and then plays at Louisville and has really a phenomenal season. And gets drafted by the Ravens, but it's like the Ravens. It felt like when he got drafted there, it felt like he was a little bit out of place when it came to their play style, because Joe Flacco being in the pocket type of player, Lamar Jackson obviously more of a runner. So I don't know. Maybe it's just you look at players, if you're looking to prospect within football, that are on the maybe later round draft picks versus first round draft picks, because you never know really who, and I think it just shows that you never really know who's going to pan out when it comes to players, and it depends on situations and all this kind of stuff. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts about these products and players and quarterbacks. So if you're watching, make sure you leave them in the comments. I'll see you in the next one. All right. There's Brock Purdy. Let's see, where should we go next? See if there's any tweets hitting the timeline that are interesting. No, I've got, let's see, how many more topics? I guess we could watch the Michael Rubin video at Burbank. Went pretty viral this past week. Here it is. I don't know why that tweet wasn't coming out. It's weird. Yeah, we're going to watch Michael Rubin go mega viral. Almost 1 million views on his video.
These are all different book cards you got here?
Yes.
Wow. He's probably still sleeping. They beat us yesterday, too. Listen, I'm in a card shop right now. I just asked this girl what she's looking for. What did you say you're looking for? She said she's a Devin Booker collector. Oh, my God. She's going through all of your cards right here. What you did last?
ESPN tweeted about this.
How big of a D-Book fan are you?
I'm really big fan. I go to all the Clipper games in LA because I watch all the Suns Clipper games in LA twice a year to see you play.
But he's a bad person because he beat my Sixers last night. I'm buying all the cards. I'm burning them because I'm so unhappy. So unhappy with you.
Thank you so much.
So he just texted me and said, "What's your address?" and send you a signed jersey. Wow. Yep.
Yeah, my favorite NBA player ever. I've been collecting him for so long, so that was awesome.
These are all different book cards you got here?
Yes.
Wow. He's probably still sleeping. They beat us yesterday, too. Listen, I'm in a car.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't mean to make this like the Michael Rubin show, but like, I don't know. I mean, it's hard. You know, he's putting out these videos. Like, sure, it's marketing. It's good marketing, I think, in my opinion. But it's like, I don't know what people really expect. I don't know what people expect. Like, marketing is marketing. Like, it's just obviously, if you have the opportunity to do something that's going to be good PR, good marketing, you should be doing it. Like Michael Rubin, again, like I talked about this in the past. Like, I don't think we realize how famous Michael Rubin really is. Like, he's just able to FaceTime Devin Booker in the card shop. And also, I thought it was really cool that they were at Burbank and ESPN posted it on their TikTok. And I mean, it was on like ESPN, like the channel as well. I don't remember. I think it must have been on SportsCenter, but like I said, ESPN, they posted about it. They posted the full video on their TikTok, and maybe it could have been part of the, I don't know, maybe something like this probably doesn't just, happen serendipitously. Like, it's probably something that's a little bit planned, but like at the same time, I think it just shows like what Michael Rubin has the opportunity to do here. And I think with this video, and then also like the video that they put out with the new patches, like they have been in the news much more, I think, than Topps or Panini really ever have in the past. Like, and for stuff that I think is not just like, here's a new $1 million sale. Like, here's another $1 million sale. Here's a scandal. Like, we're putting Burbank as well in a video that has 1 million views. So like, now people would probably know about Burbank. There's a bunch of great pieces about this that I don't want to seem like I am just always talking about Michael Rubin, but it's like, when he's doing these types of things, like, I think it's good for marketing for the hobby. Like, because the $1 million sales, although that probably is going to get the click, I think, of somebody writing an article, in reality, like, does that help somebody transition them into sports cards? Like, because like nobody in my opinion looks at like an article written by ESPN about $1 million sale and is like, oh, well, now I want to get back into sports cards. Like, this piece of, whether you want to call it marketing, whether you want to call it PR, I think that this is an opportunity where cards are being shown. Michael Rubin is getting his face out there. Devin Booker is also kind of getting into cards a little bit here. I think that there are tons of things within this video that make the marketing of cards a much better than like just looking at like ESPN writing or Forbes or any of these top, media outlets writing an article about the next $1 million sports card sale or, whatever the product is or something along those lines. And I get it. People will look at it and say, well, it's just marketing. It's just a puff piece for Michael Rubin and Fanatics. And I'll say, yeah, but it's like, I don't know what people expect them to do. I think I've seen a couple videos about like people potentially getting like loaded sports card boxes. Like, I think there was one where Chasing Cardboard had a box, and then there was one about like Mama Breaks, who was in those influencer cards, maybe getting like a box that had the loaded card. And it's like, that's fraud. First of all, that's fraud. Like Ja Rule said in the Firefest documentary, that's fraud. Like, I don't think that's not good. That's not good marketing, in my opinion. That's just deceiving customers. So I don't necessarily think that's what they are doing. Like, if they're giving, I think it's more likely that there are just a ton of boxes that have cards that are low numbered in them than that they have loaded boxes. Because do I think that is an issue? I think potentially. I think that there are Panini, for example, like the Backyard Breaks scenario where that just doesn't make any sense to me. And Panini never came out and said anything. And I don't know. They probably never will. But it's like, I don't know. It's the social media aspect of cards. People blow things out of proportion a little bit, I think, on a lot of things. And I think if you look at the real solution, the real topic is always somewhere in the middle, in my opinion. I don't think it's always the best 100%. I don't think it's always the worst. I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think you know, this is the second time in the past couple weeks that Michael Rubin has come out and had sort of a viral video. I mean, I guess maybe him at the Sports Chicago Spectacular, maybe it wasn't a viral video. This definitely was. Had, like I said, 1 million views on, actually, I don't want to do that because that could be dangerous. It had 1 million views in a day on ESPN, which they post a lot of, you know, viral stuff. So either way, still pretty cool. I'll cover it. I'm just going to cover it. Like anytime there's viral stuff like this with Fanatics, with Michael Rubin, you can probably expect me to talk about it because it just is what it is. Like they're sort of, you know, the top people within this industry now, whether we like it or not. So the stuff that they're doing is going to be important. And, you know, going out there and making a video where that has 1 million views, that, you know, they tag Burbank sports cards. So it's like, there are good things about this that I don't know. I think people are maybe overreacting when it comes to it being just marketing. Like, I think, you know, this is sort of the one-on-one experience that I've had people on the show talk about that they hope kind of maybe comes more into sports cards here. The one of one.
These are all different book cards, you guys.
That one-of-one fan experience is, I think, what will make cards more popular. At least I hope so. I think it will, but it's also how, you know, fans are going to create moments, and these viral moments and moments like this, we should be celebrating because, in my opinion, we're creating moments for fans, for young fans like this one, that involve cards. So it's like she got to meet Devin Booker, and also I think at the end of the video said they're going to send her a jersey. So it's like, but that moment, that phenomenal time that she had, it involves cards. So it's like, this should be something that we should be, I don't know, celebrating a little bit more. I think we do, in my opinion. I'm going to, but, you know, down the road, hopefully we start to see, you know, more stuff like this from Michael Rubin creating these experiences within cards. Yeah. Let's see. Oops, actually, let's do this. So, yep, slab stocks obviously coming in. There were some big sales this week too from Goldin. Oh, the Goldin commercial. We got to talk about that too, actually. Let me pull that. All right, we'll watch that after this. What's up, everybody? Thank you for clicking on this video. We are going to be talking about 2 sales that Goldin recently had on some superfractors of some of the young stars within the MLB. I'm interested to hear about your thoughts when it comes to these cards. Hit the like button if you enjoy the video. And if you are new, please hit subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Let's get right into it. So Goldin this week had some, like I said, pretty big sales of some superfractors. So we had the superfractor non-autograph Bowman Chrome prospect Wander Franco, and then the 2022 Topps update Julio Rodriguez superfractor 1/1 autograph. That sold for $57,000. The Wander Franco sold for $26,000. I think I've been saying this for a while, that I thought that the superfractor autographs out of Topps Chrome should be more similarly priced to the Bowman Chrome superfractor autographs. because I think the Topps Chrome and Bowman Chrome cards are two that we've seen sort of yo-yoing in terms of which one ends up becoming more valuable. I think the Topps Chrome is probably a lower print run than the regular Flagship. So you're probably seeing a little bit more rare cards come out of Topps Chrome, like I said, than Topps Flagship. These cards here, I mean, I think Shine owns the 1-of-1 Bowman Chrome Superfractor, and I think he brought it to a game before Wander Franco played and had him take a picture with it. I'm not sure if, like, it's interesting with Wander Franco because I'm not sure if he, like, lost some of his luster when it came to people being excited about him being in the league. Julio Rodriguez, I mean, he's been the, like, face of Topps marketing. Like, he was on the cover of Series 1 this year. You know, they were doing like the Julio, right? He was giving out packs at opening day. He's like the face of Topps marketing, which I think is very smart for them to, you know, latch onto a player. I think it can be like maybe a little bit dangerous too, because it's like if you're latching onto a rookie, you're kind of putting a lot of your eggs in a basket where maybe it doesn't pan out, but at the same time, maybe they're looking at it and saying, well, he's the top rookie right now, but there's going to be another top rookie in a year who we can then just use in our marketing then, and we can kind of just keep recycling the rookies. I think that's smart. I think I hope that all of these players end up panning out. Like, I hope really Julio Rodriguez, you know, ends up panning out here. But like, just in my opinion, just in general, like, the rookies, I think it's smart for Topps to use rookies in their marketing. I think it's because if they're not using Mike Trout, or they're not using, like, I mean, honestly, if they're not using Mike Trout or Shohei Ohtani, like, I feel like the rookies are the players that people care the most about in general. They're the players that carry a lot of like the interest when it comes to new products. So, you know, using Julio Rodriguez as like the main marketing athlete, I guess, I think is smart. And I think that's probably why we saw like the, you know, $57,000 for this 1-of-1 Topps Chrome update, and why maybe, I don't know. I mean, I think Wander Franco, I'm gonna look at his stats really quick, because I think like in his first few games, he like came out of the gates pretty hot. Let's see. Oh, already been in the league this will be his third season. That's pretty crazy. I mean, not terrible, not the best, like hit 277 last year. Was third in the AL Rookie of the Year in his first year when he hit 288. Only played one game so far this season. But like I said, I think it always gets back to the conversation of like sports card people always want the new thing. So like if you are buying and selling these players, like I think it's smart to buy and sell the new rookies, not to really hitch your wagon to anybody who is in the limelight. I think if you're going to prospect and you want to maybe invest, and I use that term very loosely, if you want to buy into a player and hold him long-term, I think it's best to try to find those diamonds in the rough, because you're going to find a lot more. You're probably going to boom or bust a lot differently with those players versus like if you hit your wagon to Julio Rodriguez, there's a chance that he turns into like, maybe he doesn't play. Maybe he doesn't. I guess the upside for Julio Rodriguez is like he has to be the best player in the league for his prices to sustain where they're at. Like Wander Franco, number one prospect for so long. Like I think the opportunity to sell Wander Franco probably has already passed, unless he goes on to have like an MVP type season. To be completely honest, like Wander Franco, the opportunity I think where you could sell him at his peak, I think has sort of passed. Like I said, I think when it comes to prospecting, and this is maybe just my thought process, is you have a couple opportunities. You have when they get their first card. I think that's when they're going to be hot. You have when they're, for Wander Franco, when he became the number one overall prospect. He was then the number one overall prospect for a couple years because he was in the minors for I think 2 or 3 years before he got to the majors. Once he gets called up to the majors, and then the off season after his rookie season, I think you have a little bit. But like the next opportunity for Wander Franco, he's really going to have to be like. He's going to have to turn into like a superstar for you to really see like a significant bump in his prices. Like if he's in like the home run derby or he's in the all-star game or, they maybe win the World Series or something, that's another probably opportunity. But like for the Rays, I don't necessarily know if that's going to happen. For Julio Rodriguez right now is probably a decent opportunity when he's like the face of Topps right now. So it's like now is an opportunity where if you want to sell some of his cards, maybe you bought at a pretty decent price and you can cash out half or something and you can make all the money back. And now you're kind of playing with house money. Maybe that's the way you want to go about it. Because the next opportunity is really going to have to be like, he's going to have to maybe win the MVP or something along those lines, or he's going to have to be in that conversation. So if you're looking to buy or sell any of these players, maybe even Wander Franco, there's an opportunity where if you want to buy some of his cards now, maybe you think he's going to have like a huge bounce back season. Maybe he hits 300. Maybe that's an opportunity for you to buy some of his cards when they may be down a little bit based on the last 2 seasons of his. He was another one of those players that was kind of caught up in the 2020, 2021 hysteria within sports cards where his cards shot up a super significant amount and then they came down. Unfortunately, just because he was, like I said, in the conversation for one of the best up and coming players when sports cards were becoming this like new pop culture relevant type of area for people to buy and investments and opportunities and all that kind of stuff. So, maybe Wander Franco's a player that you're buying now. Maybe Julio Rodriguez, you're expecting him to go on. I don't know exactly. I don't have all the answers. Let's I'll be completely honest here too. I think, when you are looking at prospecting or you're looking at prospects, even the people who are on ESPN who are paid millions and millions of dollars to have this information and should be the ones that should know, they get it wrong sometimes too. So I think that's kind of the other thing is like within sports cards, don't take anybody's word as like the gospel, as like they know they don't have all the answers, because like I said, people who are getting paid millions and millions of dollars, even people on sports teams that are getting paid, they don't have all the answers. So it's like I try and give my commentary on these types of players and give you maybe opportunities of when to buy and when to sell, but at the same time, like I'm not always right. So that's kind of my thoughts on these 2 players specifically. And like I said, these were 2 of the cards that I think are 2 of probably their most important cards as well that sold this past week. Oh, cool. Also we got the cards, and then also the Caitlin Clark, only card available for hers is that national championship game will be on Sunday. I don't know if I'm going to do a show on Monday or not, but we'll see. Stop the timer there. Oh, yes. The Goldin trailer dropped. What's up, everybody? Thank you for clicking on this video. My name is Adam. I am your host. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the Ken Goldin trailer that just dropped for his new Netflix show. I'm interested to hear your thoughts in the comments. Make sure you leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And if you are new, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe. Let's get right into it. So, when the news came out about the show, I said I was going to wait fully to form my opinion until the trailer came out because I was interested to see sort of the angle they were going to be using for the trailer. So let's watch the trailer, and then I'll get into some of my thoughts on it, I guess.
The collectibles world can take you anywhere at the drop of a hat. I've been in this business since I was a little kid, and I'm motivated by three things: competition, ego, and money. My job is to work for you. Rock, paper, scissors. Ooh. People love doing business with me. Goldin Auctions is the world's largest collectible marketplace. We find the greatest collectibles in the world. What do you think? Wow. Somebody in Japan, Australia, the United States, they can all be bidding against each other for a rare collectible.
This is beyond rare.
Hidden treasure exists out there that you couldn't possibly imagine. It could be $500,000, $600,000. Wow.
You haven't seen anything yet.
This is the original Apple I computer.
The actual Jackie Robinson jersey.
When Ken puts a task on you to get something done, you got to get it done.
We're literally talking hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Awesome.
What can you offer us right now?
$1 million cash up front right now. If I can't make this successful, one of my competitors will.
You either got to say yes or no.
Oh my God.
I expect it to break the record for the most valuable sports item ever sold. Where that clock is ticking down, and if they don't get their bid in before it hits zero, they will never get the chance to own it. Here we go.
We never know what the end result's going to be.
Oh, here it is.
And I'm telling you, it's got to be off the hook.
The only question is, How high will it go?
All right, let me make sure it's. Okay, it's not playing. I'm just making sure here. Okay, so my initial thoughts on the trailer. I'm optimistic that the show is going to be good, officially. I was nervous that it was going to be like a documentary about Ken Goldin. It looks like it's a 6-episode series that it looks like it's going to be sort of about Ken Goldin, but also like a ton of stuff like a American Pickers, the show with like Chum Lee. I forget what that one's called. Pawn Stars type of show where that's going to involve sports cards, memorabilia. But like I said, just based on the trailer, there are a ton of celebrities. It looks like there's going to be some big cards. I think also it's going to be cool. The one thing that the one kind of piece that I thought was really cool actually in the documentary was they showed kind of the back end of the auctions that were live. Like they were showing sort of like their screen of like a new bid has come in and then another bid. And then they kind of show them looking at the screen. I wonder if they're doing that really like for every auction. I can't imagine, like probably the big ones. I mean, anytime there's like $1 million auction, like it must be sort of surreal working in the office, knowing that you're potentially selling something that's going to be worth like $1 million. I would imagine that's probably pretty wild. So, you know, I am excited that the show looks like it's going to be a mixture of all these kinds of things. I said when I saw the initial name of it, you know, the King of Collectibles, the Goldin Touch, I was a little bit nervous that it was going to be just like I said, a documentary about Ken Goldin and his life, but it seems like just based on this trailer, there's going to be a ton of behind the scenes. There probably will be a decent amount about Ken Goldin. I would imagine there'll probably be like half an episode or a full episode that'll be about like the growing of Goldin and Goldin auctions and all that kind of stuff, which I'm fine with. Like I said, as long as the whole 6-episode series wasn't about that. But it looks like, you know, they've got a ton of really sweet memorabilia. They've got a ton of cool cards that are going to be included in the documentary. You know, they had like the first Apple. They've got a Jackie Robinson jersey, like that's on the screen right now. Nature Boy Ric Flair. They had Mike Tyson, Logan Paul, whether you like Logan Paul or not. He was in that documentary. They're opening up his Pokemon cards. I almost would imagine Drake is probably in it. I don't know if I would be interested to know when they finished up like the post-production of this, like of the show, because like, I think that would be pretty cool if Drake is in this. He wasn't in the trailer, so I can't. It almost makes me think that maybe he's not. But at the same time, like, you know, who knows? Like maybe he'll be a surprise appearance in one of the episodes. Like I do think it's cool that they also highlighted some of the actual collectors. It looks like they had some interviews done with them. You know, I love they've got like a flashy kind of intro here. I am a big fan of that. So April 28th is when this show will officially kind of be launching and all that. It looks like they had the 1-of-1 triple logo man. That was either at the beginning of the trailer, it was either the LeBron triple logo man or it was the Warriors triple logo man. If I had to guess, it was probably the LeBron, because I do remember that card did sell. And if you can think back to when that card sold, I think most people I think there was like a lot of marketing that was put out around it, that it was going to be like it was either a $10 million card or a $5 million card. I forget the exact number, but it was like, I think it was almost like a press release that was put out by Goldin about what the price of that card was going to be. You know, if that card is in it, I bet you Drake will also be in this documentary, because it was graded, I remember. So, you know, the whole escapades that Ken Goldin had with Drake and with that card, I do, you know, that's an interesting kind of that was an interesting time in the hobby, if I'm going to be completely honest, because when that card was sort of rumored to be out there was a ton of marketing around it. I wouldn't be surprised if that's kind of the strategy of like products with big cards in it coming up in the future, if like bounties are put out. whether it's Whatnot or whether it's Loop or if it's Fanatics's Breaking Network when they come out with that, or it's somebody from the PWCC Breaking Network. Bounties, it's an easy way to get eyeballs on the thing that you're trying to promote, to be completely honest, because there have been tons of bounties put out on big cards, and I do wonder what the percentage of bounties that have been put out actually get fulfilled. I have a feeling like it's not very high, if I'm going to be completely honest. I don't know necessarily. Like, there's no way to really know other than, like, Shine probably is putting out bounties behind the scenes, like with the people that he knows that he can get in connections with for these cards. But yeah, like I said, I'd be interested to know behind the scenes how many bounties actually are really even being fulfilled. I don't know if that's necessarily the word that I'm looking for. But yeah, here's the Jackie Robinson jersey. Like I said, they're checking out cards, telling people what their cards are worth. That's probably pretty cool. I mean, I would imagine anybody on the show probably has a decent idea of what these cards are going to be worth. Writing the check, that's pretty cool. I mean, I think that is also, so this scene right here, I think is definitely an interesting one for collectors and like their sons or people like their children. There's a decent chance that if you're pulling a card like this, that this is the story of, I think, of a lot of people maybe within cards. I do think that there's also the other side of the spectrum where it's like, there's probably kids that are really not pulling anything out of some boxes, unfortunately. So, like I said, my final thoughts on the trailer on the show. I'm optimistic now officially about the show being good because of the trailer and some of the stuff that they showed in the trailer. So, like I said, April 28th, that's when the show is going to come out. I'll be, probably up watching. I'll probably binge this show. I'll be definitely interested to know what everyone thinks about the trailer. And if they're as optimistic as I am, make sure you leave it in the comments. I'll see you in the next one. I guess I can get into the Beckett grading. I mean, I don't really have that many thoughts. It's really just, I don't know. I don't really even. Wow. 2 hours and 47 minutes. One of the longer streams here. Actually, I'll pull this up. No, Let's see. Oh, goodness gracious. Let's see. Was there anything else that I want to talk about? Fake comps, I guess. I do need to look into this a little bit more. Maybe I'll pull this up. So okay, so the news. What's up, everybody? Thank you for clicking on this video. My name is Adam from Heroes for Sale. Today, we're going to be talking about some hockey cards and some of the changes that Upper Deck has announced they're going to be making to their upcoming set, and if I think it's a good or a bad thing for the hobby. Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments. Like the video if you enjoyed, and if you're new, please hit the subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. Let's get right into the video. Okay, so actually, let me. Okay, so 2023 Series 1 has been announced for Upper Deck, which means the new Young Guns design announced. I think it's a fine design. I think it's a little bit. Let me compare it to this year. I think I like this year's a little bit more than this one. I'm wondering what the reason was for this kind of style design. I don't exactly know, but the big thing that they've changed in this product. Let me scroll down to the box configurations, and I'll scroll down to the box configurations for 2022. So the big change is going to be that 2023, which this comes out in November, it's going to be 12 cards per pack and 12 packs per box. Last year, it was 8 cards per packs and 24 cards per box. So this total comes out to about 190 cards. This only comes out to about 145 cards. I don't like that. I'm going to be completely honest here. I think it's we have a Connor Bedard, I believe is his name. He is like the next coming of if you listen to anybody within the hockey world, he's basically the next coming of like Sidney Crosby, the next coming of like Connor McDavid. He's the next big guy up. And I do need to look into this a little bit more, and I haven't seen anything necessarily about pricing. So if they bring the pricing down for these boxes, that's okay. But at the same time, the timing of this is, I don't really like the timing because, like I said, Connor Bedard, if you listen to anybody within the hockey card world, or not even hockey card world, anybody within the hockey world, they're going to tell you that this kid is the next player that's going to be the next superstar of the league, which, granted, we hear this every few years with players. I mean, Connor McDavid was probably the last big name that we heard this with. Austin Matthews, maybe you could say. McKinnon. I know there is a defenseman on Colorado. I think it's Marker, I think is his name. He's like the next big prospect not even a prospect actually anymore. He's been in the league for a couple of years, but he's like the next big defensive prospect. This Connor Bedard player is a player from Canada who's playing in juniors right now, who is everyone's saying by far and away is easily going to be the number one pick. And, I guess I understand that these decisions are not made necessarily on a year-to-year basis. I would guess that the configurations of these boxes are probably more looked at as like a 5-year window. So like, or I don't know. I don't know this. I'm just kind of speculating a little bit here, to be completely honest. But like, I don't like the fact that, the next player who's supposed to be the next Connor McDavid comes into the league and they drop the amount of cards within a box by 50. So it's going to make it harder to find those cards. It's going, and I guarantee also that the print run is going to go up too. So like, it's not like they're dropping the amount of cards you're getting per box, but they're keeping the print run the same. That doesn't make any sense right now if you're a sports card producer. Like, that just doesn't make much sense. I don't know if it's maybe something that they're looking at and they're saying, well, Fanatics is going to come in, so we need to figure out a way to make the most amount of money we can on these boxes. But like another thing within boxes is like all the boxes are basically, for the most part, they're basically all pre-sold. So it's like, Panini and Topps and Upper Deck, they're getting all the money for the boxes basically up front because the distributors, the breakers, companies like, Target, Walmart, they're paying for the boxes up front and then they're selling them. So it's not like they're going to be maybe making more money. Like maybe they looked at it and they said, well, we can produce more boxes with less cards in them. Even if they were to say, we'll keep the print run the same, they are producing more boxes. So like if the price of these boxes are the same, like I had someone reach out to me on Instagram to kind of let me know that this was going on, which I thought I really appreciated that. David Keppel, he reached out to me and said that he's been like a long time breaker, or not breaker, but he opens a lot of sports card. He opens a lot of hockey sports cards. And he was saying that the prices he said he was buying hobby boxes of Upper Deck Flagship around $80 at his LCS, and you could get them for $70 to $75 per case. Series 1 from last year was around $100 at his LCS, and then Series 2 pre-order, which I think Series 2 had new rookies in it, which is maybe why the price went up. Oh, no. It's not nearly as good of a Young Gun Checklist Series 2 either, so I'm not sure. So he said he's not sure where the 20% came from. Basically, they're playing with a tried and trusted formula. The product manager is even concerned kids are going to the LCS and not being able to buy these hobby boxes. They're not going to be able to buy a pack of Upper Deck Flagship for $10. Essentially, he's saying also that they were changing the configurations of some of the numbered cards within the box too, which then probably means they're able to produce more and put less in the box. It just doesn't make much sense to me. And boxes of sports cards, I feel like, are how 90% of the hobby gets back into cards. So if they're just changing the way that these cards are in the market, I don't really like that they're doing that, especially, like I said, the timing of this is horrible. The timing of the reducing of the amount of cards you can get in a box is not very smart. Well, it's smart from a business perspective. It's not smart for the collector. So, I don't know. Let me see if I can find, because I don't even know where they necessarily changed. See also Series 1 from 2021. I'm looking at the configurations of that box. Let me see if I can find it as I'm scrolling. 8 cards, 24 packs. Yep, so that was the same. So 2021 was the same, 8 cards, 24 packs. I also just like that there are a lot of packs in boxes. Like, I don't understand why they have to reduce the amount of packs. Putting more cards in the packs, I don't think is the correct move here, in my opinion. Yep, 2020, still the same, 8 cards, 24 packs. I think especially with a flagship product like this, there should be more boxes, or there should be more packs within the box. You shouldn't be limiting the amount of cards that people can get. 2019, still the same, 8, 24. So, I mean, we're going back. This is something it looks like it's been this way for, at least since 2019. I don't know how much farther back I'm going to go. I'm probably going to end it there with going back and looking at the different boxes. But they're same amount of boxes in the case. So I don't know if that means that they're producing more cases, less cards in the packs. I don't love that. More cards in the packs, I don't love that either, because I think it just makes it so that way the packs are going to be more individually more expensive because there's more cards in them. So somebody who is running a business is going to say, well, if there's more cards in the packs, then I'm going to have to charge more maybe. But I think with a flagship product like Series 1, I get that the upper Deck 2, especially the Young Guns, I think has the rookie card process maybe better than any other company within the industry, in my opinion. So the fact that they're changing the product like this, and I know that Topps is sort of done this in the past as well. So maybe they're looking at a trend that Topps is doing. But I don't think that the Topps Flagship rookie and the Upper Deck Young Guns rookie, like if I'm comparing the two, I'm definitely looking at the Upper Deck Young Guns rookie at a way higher prestige, in my opinion, than the Flagship rookie. Because I think when you look at rookie cards for hockey, and this may be coming from a little bit more of a novice, like, I'm not diving into checklists of hockey rookies all that often, to be honest. I'm really I'm looking at when the Flagship products are releasing, and I'm looking at some of the rookies and the design. But I would rank the Upper Deck Young Gun rookie over some of the Flagship rookies. So like when it comes to hockey cards, like I feel like that Young Gun rookie has it's way more prestigious than maybe some of the other rookies that are coming throughout Upper Deck products. Not the same way with Flagship. I feel like with Topps and baseball, there's probably like within each year's product, I'd say there's upwards of 10 rookies that are kind of like chase rookies. Maybe not 10. Maybe it's like, probably like Topps Living, I'd say is one. Maybe that's not coming in a pack, but either way, Flagship, Topps Chrome, I think Allen and Ginter, Heritage, Gypsy Queen maybe was one you were looking at. Topps Finest, I think, was one. Bowman's Best, maybe. Bowman Chrome, I think, are some of the rookies. So I don't know. I'm not sure what Upper Deck is doing. I'm not sure if the product is in production. Like, it comes out in November. So I guess at this point, I don't know if like they can really go back and change the configuration of the boxes. But I mean, I'm hoping that maybe that they're going to come out and say that they're changing it. I don't know if they probably aren't, because if they're coming out with the information now, that means that companies are probably getting the information. They're getting all the configuration sheets and all that kind of stuff. So down the road, I don't know. Upper Deck, I think they made a mistake here. I hope maybe next year after this, they change back. But like I said, they're sort of picking they're picking a good time for business, but a bad time for collectors to reduce the amount of cards you're getting in a box because of the Connor Bedard, I think, or Bernard. Sorry, I forget exactly if it's Bernard or Bedard, but like he's going to be the next, he's going to be the number one pick on the upcoming draft. He's going to be the next guy that's coming up. So unfortunately, I think Upper Deck made a business decision here, and I don't think it's good for collectors, to be completely honest. Alrighty. I actually think I'm going to wrap things up here. Thank you all. Thanks for everybody for watching. That's all I got. I'll see you in the next one.